very much us this evening. Great to have everybody here. Lovely Tuesday evening, and thanks for your support. Like we always do, I'm going to take some time out to appreciate folks on TikTok who have been power tapping, and they've helped us to get to 46k likes. Thank you very much, Ogbeni Agbe. RP71 Koboko, thank you so much for your support, and thanks for liking the live. Even a doubt, okay, doubt, I see you too as well. Thank you very much. All right, good to have everybody join us today. It's a lovely Tuesday evening, but we're starting on a somber note. Before we get into the conversation at all, let's welcome everybody on all platforms. I see folks on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining us on YouTube and on Facebook. We are glad you are here. Please like the live and share as well. If you're on TikTok, please power tap and share the live. Also, click on the heart icon above my picture to join the team. Drop your hearts, me. Let's drop gifts. Let's push the live to the FYP together. Ibo Jinodu, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your support, and thanks for power tapping as well. All right, Remy, Mr. Remy, I think my app did not show all the people, but I'm seeing your names now. So thank you very much for power tapping and for pushing the live, up. Thanks a lot. All right. And the numbers have gone up, so let me clap for you one more time. And then we cheer. All right. Great to be here today. We're going to be looking at a number of topics. I think tomorrow we should be able to have a full session, but like I say, whether it's full session on camera or we're just discussing the news, we always have a great time together, which is the most important thing. But I'm glad you're here, and we will get into the conversation. Just want to quickly check YouTube to be sure we're good, and then we can get started. All right. Àwọn kan ṣọdún lónìí. Àwọn tó ń ṣe ọdún kìíní kan New Year. Ẹ kú ọdún o. Some people also had one last week. Everybody kú ọdún. 1 second, please. Hello? Sorry. Oh dear. 1 second, please. All right. Sorry, I had a call, but that's sorted. So yeah, I was saying that our all right, so we're good on YouTube as well. Let's get into the conversation. So we're starting with the event that happened today in Oyo State. I mean, Oyo State has been in the news for about a month now on this issue of the children that were kidnapped. Of course, Oyo State has always been in the news, like for good things for the most part. But recently, we've had this challenge, with folks in Oyo State. And so, I mean, in case you're living under the rocks, you probably must have heard that some school children were kidnapped alongside their teachers in Orire local government of Oyo State, and it has been an issue for about a month now, and different people have, spoken up about it. People have protested across different states, particularly in the Southwest. But today something quite new happened, just a little twist actually. VDM decided to join the agitation, so to speak. But rather than just protests in front of government house or, official quarters and all that, he actually went to the governor's private residence. That's Governor Makinde himself, and a number of people went to his house to confront him. Now, when they got there, they were met by certain representatives of the governor who tried to talk to them. Apparently, they had also gone to the office, the governor's office, where they had a conversation with VDM. I think we're going to just start today's session with that particular clip. And before I play this, let me say this, that personally, I don't like people protesting across the Southwest because of, it's like deja vu or maybe PTSD from what happened in Lagos during NSAS. Because people can easily hijack a legitimate protest and turn it into riot, which almost happened today. I'm going to talk about that as well. Almost happened in Ibadan today. But I think on this particular matter, as long as we're discussing people whose primary goal is to let the government know what they need to do. Like they want to show, air their views and, talk about their grievances. I'm all for it. So it's like you have a people who actually have a purpose and they're going for it. And it's important to, speak truth to power as well. So that balance is where I live. All right. And I said all of that to say that I support the protest that they had today. It was actually, something admirable. And although it almost turned to something else at the end, it still doesn't take away from the fact that this young man and the people who, are in his movement, they did something really good today, regardless of what you think about any other thing you know about him. On top of this matter today, it was a good thing. So let's begin with this clip where VDM is seen talking to some of his supporters and also responding to the personnel of the government who had come to talk to him and the protesters. Please take a listen to this.
Give me mine.
This Oga is working with the governor. And he has said that the governor is ready to see few of us.
Are you here for protest or you are here to fight?
When he says, I say, should be nice security will go talk. They say yes. But the good part is, all of us are going. Yes! Please, maintain decorum. Please, let's go.
All right, that was VDM in front of the governor's house. But he said, something came up in that conversation that I feel it's very, very important. The man came out and said to them that, a few of them were asked to go see the governor, and some young people in the crowd said, no. Now, this is not today's topic, but it's important to use the opportunity to explain something. This nonsense that young people do, where they have no understanding of structure, they just want to make noise, it doesn't really give you the result you want. And I like the question, people think protest is just being stupid. When they ask you, for instance, that they want to speak to some of you, it doesn't, this is the same mistake people made during NSAS. And I often say that NSAS was a success until people didn't know where to stop. Just kept adding other things, right? So I just said all of that, although it's not part of today's topic, just to say that it's becoming like this norm where people think that for you to have leaders means that you are going to have people who can easily be bribed or bought over. Therefore, let's just be a mob. Essentially, just become the crowd and make noise, not necessarily negotiate or have conversations. And so because you can't have that kind of thinking, the government will keep treating you like children. It's the truth, and I know young people don't like to hear it, but I'll say it. Just like children, because you just want to make noise. So after making noise, they'll probably give you pacifier or whatever, and then you leave them alone. But I'm just saying that people have to get to the point where they understand that conversing, negotiating, having conversations with authorities doesn't mean that you have been bought over by the government. I just thought I should put that out there. Anyway, they moved on from there, and they actually got the opportunity to meet with the governor of Oyo State, which is quite beautiful. And VDM also got to talk to the president. So let's begin with the clip where he actually made that statement, and then I'll play what the government said in response. Take a listen, please.
To bring the children back. And also, we are here to also commit ourselves. I think the governor does not have men. We are ready to volunteer ourselves. To go into the bush with the police, army, Navy, security officers that are ready to go into the bush. As of now, we don't even know the condition of the children. We don't know if the children are still alive. Over 45 of them was taken into the bush with their teachers. And one of the teachers had been beheaded. It's quite unfortunate. So we want to tell the governor what is the plan and when are we going to see the children. Thank you, sir.
Help him with the mic.
All right, I'll play what the governor said in response to that speech by VDM. Let's start with this one.
Go to XYZ, he will need to get approval from the Inspector General of Police. What? The same thing with the military. However, when I came in, security was one of the cardinal principles of the administration. That's why we set up Amotekun. Amotekun has not been harmed adequately. But that is our reality. However, let me give you the assurance that
I mean, there's a longer clip, and I'm going to play that. But I also like this response about Amotekun. So when they said we're going to give ourselves to go and fight, don't worry about it. It's not something to volunteer for. But I like the passion. I also like the governor's response that we do have security folks who are trained to do that. But there's a longer clip, and I'd like you to listen to it now.
reality. However, let me give you the assurance that that is our reality. However, let me give you the assurance that I am also distressed because I have children of my own. I'm also distressed with what has happened to our children after 1 month. It was 1 month yesterday, 1 month and 1 day already. Because of the nature of the security situation that is involved, I cannot divulge a lot of information. But I can tell you that there's no information that any of those children or their teachers and because it is a rescue operation, and this is the first time anywhere in Nigeria that they've kidnapped people, abducted people, that they have done it. This is the first time they've done it to nursery and primary school children. This is the first time. And these are children that they cannot even run or do anything for themselves. So the operation to rescue them is a special type of operation. If you don't want to lose any of these children, I give you the assurance that I, as the governor of Oyo State, God's grace, we will bring out those our children. They are talking to us. It's not something I would normally do. If government starts negotiating with banks, it means for federal sovereignty to the bank. But in this special situation, when those children are alive, we have to bend back. But that is our reality. However, let me give you the assurance that I am also distressed because I have children of my own. I'm also distressed with what has happened to our children. It has been 1 month. It was 1 month yesterday, 1 month and 1 day already. Because of the nature of the security situation that is involved, I cannot divulge a lot of information. But I can tell you that there's no information that any of those children or their teachers.
All right. Someone on TikTok says here they can challenge him because he's running for president and also a weakling. No, that's not being a weakling. That's being a leader. I mean, I don't have to support. I mean, of course, I don't support Makinde to be president, but I mean, he's not being a weakling. I think what would have happened is if after doing this, they then go on to ask for any other terrible stuff. But at this on this matter, he was just being a leader, able to have conversations with young people who are passionate, as they should, who are asking and speaking truth to power as they should. And there's nothing wrong in a governor, a politician, speaking, to such people and trying to explain what's happening. It doesn't make him a weakling. It just makes him a leader, in my opinion. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I don't even think this has anything to do with being president. But maybe it does, who knows? But again, I think it's something that's commendable. Even run or take care of themselves. I assure you that as the governor, we will rescue them. And they also talk about not being able to divulge some information because of the nature of the situation. So yeah, that's something I feel is quite important. And that was the governor of Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde. We just hope and pray that things get better and that those children are released as soon as possible. Before we move on from this topic, VDM, I think they had one more thing to say to the governor. Please take a listen to this.
More question. In 2014, took so much time that you want the perfect time to go and rescue them. You'll keep that children there for long. And then they may even marry them off to other kidnappers. At the end of the day, there must be collateral damage to send the message to these kidnappers once and for all. So please, sir, that is why we are saying enough is enough. And if you are ready, we are all ready to go with you to the bush and do it today or tomorrow. Because these people, the moment they push you and you are not able to push them back, I have been studying them for the longest. They will claim the land. Very soon, they may start asking you for levy. The farmers must soon be paying levy to stay in Oyo State. Like I said, you did not go into the bush when they killed the teacher. You were not there when they killed the teacher. Nobody tried to force themselves inside and they killed the teachers. So, Mr. Governor, I think this is the time you let those terrorists and those bandits know that we actually don't care. There will be collateral damage and we are all ready for it. Please, sir.
Okay, thank you so much.
Spoken like a young man, blood the odds, but that's not how to do things. And I'm glad the government did not say, oh yeah, come, let's go to the bush, go and fight for us. But of course, it's important that, that conversation happened, and I'm really happy that they had it. So that's that about VDM and Seyi Makinde. I believe that we should have such conversations more between the folks in power and the people they govern. All right, let's move away from that. Remember yesterday we talked about Operation Clean Sweep. I've never seen something as quick as this in a very, very long time. And just in case you went here, we talked about how the retired Major General who was abducted a while back and then died in, the camp of these kidnappers. It was buried a few days ago, and then the day after the military said they're going to have Operation Clean Sweep, and they will go into the forest and just clean out everywhere. Well, believe it or not, they actually did exactly what they said. And I think about it right now, I'm wondering, how did that happen? Like, in 24 hours, they actually rescued the Major General's wife. Remember that the Major General was abducted alongside his wife, and while the man was dead, the kidnappers were still holding on to the woman, to his wife. But these guys went into the bush and just, I don't know, did abracadabra, and believe it, the woman is free now. I'm happy that she's free, but I'm just wondering how. It tells you that these guys can work, like they are able, they are capable. Maybe there are other things stopping them apart from equipment and whatnot. But I want to take a listen to this clip. This is from News Central, and they talked about the. 1 second. No, this is another one. Give me a second. I'll play you this one, then I'll find you the clip about the woman that was rescued. But this one actually happened yesterday in Kogi State, where the Nigerian Armed Forces eliminated suspected terrorist leader Kachala Ibrahim Batijo and dismantled parts of his criminal network during a coordinated operation in Kogi State. I'll play this and then we'll revisit the news about the Major General's wife. Please take a listen to this. All right, it's more text than anything else. What you're going to be listening to mostly is music. But I'm going to read you the report, then I will, play some clips, right, on the matter of the Major General's wife. Let me begin with this one from BSN. Terrorist shoots wife of late Major General during rescue operation. The wife of a late Nigerian Major General, Mrs. Abubakar, was shot by terrorists during a rescue operation carried out by troops of Operation Fasanyama. According to the Defense Headquarters, troops engaged the terrorists at Tunga village, forcing them to abandon their captive and flee. Before escaping, the terrorists shot Mrs. Abubakar. She was immediately evacuated and is currently receiving treatment at a military hospital, where she is responding well. The Armed Forces of Nigeria said operations are ongoing to track down and neutralize those responsible for the abduction and shooting. Take a listen to this. Apparently, it's a lot more music, but here some of the abducted people are sitting on the floor, including the Major General's wife, who was shot during that attack. And I think this is also one of the reasons Oyo State has been very careful with the rescue operations. Think about what just happened. They killed, I don't know whether they killed the man or the man died in their hammer, in their den. But when they noticed that the army was coming after them, they shot the woman. Now imagine what they could do to over 40 children and teachers. So I guess that's why the government has been very, very reluctant, or let me say very careful in engaging these bandits. But it is well. May God give them wisdom, and may those children come out safe and sound. Take a listen to this clip where a chieftain of AGC was having a conversation about this issue with Seun Baloyi on Channels TV. Take a listen.
These are breaking news right here on Channels Television. Troops, the Nigerian military, have rescued the widow of late Major General Rabi Abubakar. Troops of the Nigerian Army's 17th Brigade have rescued Mrs. Abubakar, the widow of the late Major General Rabi Abubakar, who was abducted by bandits shortly before the retired senior military officer died in captivity. Military sources are telling Channels Television that the rescue operation took place in Tunga village, where troops made contact with the armed bandits. During the encounter, the kidnappers reportedly shot Mrs. Abubakar before fleeing the scene under pressure from advancing soldiers. Troops immediately secured the areas, rescued her, and administered emergency force aid. The military says Mrs. Abubakar sustained gunshot injuries and was bleeding at the time of the rescue, but is now receiving medical attention. The development comes just days after the burial of the late Major General Rabi. Insecurity across parts of the country. Breaking news right here on Channels Television. Widow of late Major General Rabi Abubakar, who died in captivity after being abducted by bandits, himself and the wife. The widow has now been rescued by troops of the Nigerian Army's 17th Brigade. That's much we know about this matter.
All right, the breaking news actually came through while he was interviewing an ADC chieftain, Bolaji Abdullahi, and we're going to revisit ADC matter in a bit. But before we go on, I'll read this from the cable. Tinubu commends troops for rescuing wife of retired Army General who died in captivity. President Tinubu has commended troops for rescuing the wife of Rabi Abubakar, a retired Army Major General who died while in bandit captivity. A statement on Tuesday by Bayo Onanuga, his special advisor on information and strategy, said the operation demonstrates a high standard of professionalism and the needed determination to confront forces of evil. Quote, the safe return of Ajia Amina Rabi Abubakar is a source of relief to our family and to all Nigerians, end of quote, Tinubu said. I commend the intelligence, coordination, and bravery of the officers and men who executed the rescue operation. We owe a debt of gratitude to our troops who risk their lives daily to keep us safe. So, all right, let me read a few more things here. Tinubu also praised the armed forces and other security agencies for a separate operation in Kogi State that resulted in the killing of Ibrahim Bastuji, a notorious bandit kingpin. He described the development as a major setback for criminal networks operating in Kogi State and neighboring areas. And that's the news I shared with us earlier. Tinubu said Bastuji's years of violent activities, including kidnapping and attacks on civilians, had inflicted severe hardship on residents. He said that his death would help restore confidence and bring relief to affected communities. I congratulate our gallant troops on this decisive milestone. Nigeria will not surrender any part of its territory to criminals, Tinubu said. Those who choose the path of violence against innocent citizens will find no hiding place. This success reflects the renewed determination of our security forces to secure every inch of our land. That was President Bola Ahmed Tinubu congratulating the Nigerian Army. And I hope this also, gives us some kind of hope about those who are still in the captivity of bandits. Okay, and I hope things actually get better on that end. So let's go to another topic, and I don't know if you've heard that Atiku now has a new VP, right? But like I said earlier, Bolaji Abdullahi was on Channels TV with Seun Baloyi just yesterday So I'm going to play you some of the clips from there, and then we'll talk about the new VP pick by Atiku Abubakar. All right, let's take a listen to this, where he talked about the fact that they believe that anyone running on the platform of ATC, whether Atiku or Amechi, will do far better than what President Bola Tinubu is doing. But again, he will follow. But let's take a listen to Bolaji Abdullahi. Wait, by the way, I understand that sometimes I could mix. Iwafalenu just means that anybody can say whatever they want. That's all I was trying to say without Yoruba. And I hope people understand that. All right. Let's take a listen now to Bolaji Abdullahi.
Let's confirm, it's authentic, right, that Rotimi Amechi is the running mate to Atiku Abubakar?
Absolutely, absolutely. That is confirmed.
Yeah. And has he accepted that offer?
You should expect that a lot of conversation will have happened. So if there's going to be any chances that this kind of question will arise, we wouldn't announce. So the fact that we've gone ahead to announce officially as a party means that all questions have been answered.
Would there be any kind of formal presentation to the world, or this will suffice and you are moving forward?
No, there's going to be a big event to actually present our two candidates sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that's interesting though. But and your party thinks that that pairing is a formidable one?
I mean, we believe so, because let me say first and foremost that we believe that anybody that was running as aspirants on the platform of ADC, whether it's Atiku Abubakar or Rotimi Amechi or Muhammadu Hayatuddin, will do far better than what President Bola Tinubu is doing. Now, having established that, we believe that the emergence of Atiku Abubakar and Rotimi Amechi as our presidential and vice presidential candidate actually gives us a formidable team that is immensely capable of winning this election. So, and we are not surprised with the kind of shenanigans that is cropping up the moment we announced Rotimi Amechi as our vice presidential candidate.
So, in the real sense of it, and I'm wondering what Babachi Lawa will be thinking now, because he has written off your...
Yes, strictly.
Let's confirm, it's authentic, right, that Rotimi Amechi is...
Yeah, so that was Bolaji Abdullahi, the spokesperson for Nigeria Democratic Congress, NDC, confirming indeed that Rotimi Amechi is now the vice presidential candidate of the NDC. It's quite interesting, considering Amechi said he wasn't getting involved in all of these things in order to become vice president. I mean, I guess it's how politicians talk sometimes, like, they just might change their minds, and they have a right to, just to be clear. Anyway, there's another clip. I want to read some comments here, but there's another clip I saw that I would have loved to play for you. What I'm trying to get at, so let me just read some of the things I see here on on TikTok. So someone says here, it's Koboko. He says Kenneth Okonkwo thought it would be named running mate. Actually, he said he will not be supporting this ticket. I'll find you that report. I saw it earlier. It was on Sarah Reporters, I think. Give me a minute. I'm going to find it for you. You know, what was he thinking? Who would have... Kenneth Okonkwo doesn't have any electoral value now. So what would have made... I mean, did he think that, or is it just you guys, you know, assuming that he would have wanted him? Anyway, there's a clip, to be fair. There's a clip where he actually said something close to that. I'll just quickly... 1 second. I'll look for... Oh, dear. There's a report, I saw it earlier, but I don't know where it is right now, where he said he was dissatisfied. And I'm wondering, who cares? Like, do you think the ADC would have picked... I mean, this is not to say Kenneth Okonkwo is not skinny, but... is that how they do it? Let me read this from Premium Times. I think it's the same thing as what I saw in Sarah Reporter, since I couldn't find the other one. Let's read Premium Times. Okonkwo kicks ADC. Okonkwo kicks against Amechi's choice as Atiku's running mate. It is well. It is well. But let's read the news, shall we? The African Democratic Congress, ADC, is facing fresh internal tensions following the choice of former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi as running mate to the party's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar for the 2027 election. Kenneth Okonkwo, a member of the party, criticized the decision on Monday, warning that choosing a vice presidential candidate from the South-South could deepen feelings of marginalization. Olódùmarè ṣé wọn mú nǹkan láwọn ibì kan Nàìjíríà yìí ní kí gbogbo eré gbèrègbè torí Ọlọ́run. Oh dear, let me just start all over again because this is just comedy. In fact, no, I'll just start from the second paragraph. Kenneth Okonkwo, a member of the party, criticized the decision on Monday, warning that choosing a vice presidential candidate from the South-South could deepen feelings of marginalization in the Southeast and weaken support for the ADC ticket in the region. Mr. Okonkwo's reaction came hours after the ADC officially announced Mr. Amechi as Mr. Atiku's running mate, describing the pair as a unity and rescue ticket ahead of the 2027 presidential election. The former Nollywood actor turned politician, the former Nollywood actor turned politician said reports of Mr. Amechi's nomination were unfortunate because the Southeast had produced neither a president nor a vice president since Nigeria's return to democratic rule in 1999. Quote, I heard from social media that ADC has picked its vice presidential candidate from the South-South. If this is true, it is unfortunate, as this will continue the crude marginalization of the Southeast, Mr. Okonkwo wrote in a post on X. Let me read a few more things here. Mr. Okonkwo argued that denying the Southeast either the presidential or vice presidential slot on the ADC ticket would amount to perpetuating the region's exclusion from the country's highest political offices. He noted that the Southeast had made significant sacrifices to support the opposition coalition. Was it the Southeast that made sacrifices, or politicians from the Southeast making sacrifices? Especially when they said we should not look at things from the ethnicity, kiniko. Anyway, he noted that the Southeast had made significant sacrifices. What sacrifices did they even make? How am I going to show you both of? What sacrifices did the Southeast make to the ADC? He noted that the Southeast had made significant sacrifices to support the opposition coalition, including surrendering key positions within the party structure. The ADC was founded by Ralph Nwosu from the Southeast in 2005. So we are back to ethnicity card now. I like how people who call everybody bigots and tribalists and whatever never seem to stop showing their true colors every chance they get. It's quite interesting. So it says here, the ADC was founded by Ralph Nwosu from the Southeast in 2005. He made the sacrifice to give up the party in 2025 for the coalition to usher in a better Nigeria. You know, if you want to start this conversation from the fact that Ralph Nwosu actually overstayed his welcome as the chairman of the party, and the matter was in court for a while, even before the Atiku Abubakar and David Mark and the rest of them said to take over, to adopt ADC as their political party for the coalition. So this idea that Ralph also did it for Nigeria is quite interesting. But let's read a few more things here. Again, back to Kenneth Okonkwo. The ADC was founded by Ralph Nwosu from the Southeast in 2005. He made a sacrifice to give up the party in 2025 for the coalition to usher in a better Nigeria. He couldn't have made that sacrifice to marginalize his own people, he said. According to him, the Southeast deserved consideration for the vice presidential candidate, if it was not producing the presidential candidate. Quote, I am of the opinion that if we made a sacrifice to give up the national chair, I'm sorry, I'm reading and it's actually it's not flowing on my tongue. I'm of the opinion that if we made a sacrifice to give up the national chairman and the presidential slot, it would amount to unpardonable injustice to deny us the vice president in 2027, he added. Mr. Okonkwo disclosed that he had previously urged Atiku, whom he described as having presented himself as a pathway to the Southeast presidency, to demonstrate that commitment by selecting a running mate from the region. Quote, the only favor I asked Atiku Abubakar, who openly declared that he is the pathway to the presidency of the Southeast, is to show it by choosing someone from the Southeast to be his vice president. In 2027, he added. To be his vice president, he stated. While wishing the former vice president well, Mr. Okonkwo said he will not campaign for any presidential ticket that excludes the Southeast from both the presidential and vice presidential positions. Quote, I am not favorably disposed to campaigning for any presidential ticket that does not have a person of Southeast origin as president or vice president in 2027. Before we continue reading, he made a claim here that Atiku had said that, it would be the best pathway, so to speak, for a man from the Southeast or an Igbo man to become president. Did he really say that? I think he did. How do I know? Take a listen to this.
I am going to be the stepping stone to an Igbo presidency. And I mean it. Whether an Igbo man is from the Southeast or from the South, it is the same race.
So that was Atiku a while back telling them that it would be the stepping, by the way, a while back was just 2022, not too long ago, telling them that it would be the stepping stone for an Igbo presidency. And maybe they have to redefine that Igbo thing. Finally, people are discovering that all the things they say about certain ethnicities being Igbo is definitely not true, because those people have made it very clear that they are not in the same ethnicity. May God give them grace. But ADC did not let that slide. They decided to respond by defending Amechi's nomination. And this is what they said. The ADC announced Mr. Amechi as Mr. Atiku's running mate on Monday, saying the decision followed extensive consultations within the party. In a statement signed by the party's National Publicity Secretary, Bolaji Abdullahi, the ADC said Mr. Amechi's emergence reflected his performance in the party's presidential primary, where he finished second behind Mr. Atiku, as well as his extensive record in public service. The party highlighted Mr. Amechi's experience from his roles as Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, two-term Governor of Rivers State, and a Minister of Transportation. According to the ADC, the former governor's political influence across the South-South and wider southern Nigeria, coupled with his coalition-building credentials, makes him well-positioned to complement Atiku's candidacy. The party said the Atiku Amechi ticket would provide Nigerians with a credible alternative focused on economic recovery, security, job creation, and national unity. Mr. Okonkwo's criticism represents the first significant public disagreement since the ADC unveiled its presidential ticket. The coalition, which brings together politicians from, the other one is just, what we already know. So that's that about Kenneth Okonkwo kicking against Amechi's choice as Atiku's running mate. I think it was earlier this month or last month, Okonkwo was on this media spree where he was talking so passionately about the need for Igbo presidency. But let me even say something before we go on. This idea that some people say they are always marginalized is just nonsense. It's how you play the cards, right? So, for instance, you had a situation where there was an Igbo presidential hopeful amongst the aspirants in the ADC, that's Peter Obi, who then chose to leave the party and move to another party. right? Because he knew he was going to lose the primary. He doesn't like, primary, I almost said primary education. Doesn't like the idea of primaries, right? So I think the conversation should have been, on why the only Igbo person who wanted to become president decided to leave. Nobody chased him away, just couldn't, pull his weight. But I'll just play a few clips from the media rounds Kentokonko had earlier this month, where he was busy talking about the need for an Igbo presidency, even when, the only Igbo presidential hopeful amongst the candidates in the ADC had ported to NDC. Take a listen to some of these clips. Again, this is Kenneth Okonkwo. Take a listen, please.
Victor made it clear, and he spoke to me directly, that the only chance the Igbo people have is to align with the North.
Mombo. All right, take a listen, please.
Them to victory. Victor May, even when we were all entering ADC, Victor made it clear, and he spoke to me directly, that the only chance the Igbo people have is to align with the North. And for our brother Peter to be a vice president to Atiku.
He said this to you?
He said it to me.
Wow.
I told him, yes. I told him, have you told Obi this? He said, yes. But that Peter Obi is very stubborn. That if you tell him anything, he will not believe. But he will continue to try. This same Victor May, anytime he sees me, he said himself that we had private discussion. He talked about money. I was surprised. You know why? Kenneth Okonkwo, has never had any meeting between me.
This is the.
All right, that was Kenneth Okonkwo. There are other clips I'm going to quickly play for you before we go on with our conversation. This is another outing, this time on Channels TV, and here we're talking about, Peter Obi and throwing shades, and I think here also mentioned Igbo. If not this one, then to be the next clip. Take a listen again to Kenneth Okonkwo, the actor turned politician.
Anybody who is voting for NDC and Peter Obi is voting for criminality. And I will prove it with facts. I will call names. There is one man called Obunike Ohebu, the House of Representatives aspirant, Newi North and Newi South, and Ekusigo local government from Anambra State. He sent an SOS to me, and he said that Peter Obi is now the head of the criminality, that they were scammed in NDC. And he said, Kwakwanso went back to his people and made sure that every constituency produced one candidate so that they will not be scammed. But Peter Obi told them that all of them, the aspirants, should go in.
Now, I'll play that thing about Peter Obi later. Before we do that, I think the clip I wanted to play, I found it. And that was where I was talking about the need for an Igbo presidency. And then after this, maybe we'll come back to the Peter Obi, shall I call it allegation? So again, take a listen to Kenneth Okonkwo.
You're nothing. That is an abomination in Igbo land.
Why is this diatribe against Peter Obi so strong in you? What did Peter Obi do? Is there a personal difference you have with him? Did he offend you?
Thank you for this question. I am telling you that anybody that wants to preside over me as president in Nigeria must be interrogated. I've not even said anything against Peter Obi compared to what I said against the other presidential candidate in 2023. Let me tell you, I have no personal grudges against anybody in my life. I am a man in search of the soul of Nigeria. I am going to get it in my lifetime. A good president will restore this country, will restore the Igbo people, the marginalization of Igbo people will go. And any human being from Igbo land that wants to destroy the destiny of Igbo because of your selfishness, I will come after you and make sure that you don't block Igbo from getting what they get, what they should get. Let me also take you to 1999. In 1999,
The people of the Southwest, they said it is their turn because of what happened with MKO Abiola. And you know what? They gave it as a condition that all the political parties must present somebody from the Southwest. Let me ask, if there are no Southwest people in all the political parties, would they be able to achieve that? Olufalaye and Olusegun Obasanjo eventually emerged as the presidential candidate of all the parties that were available. Now, if you come to Igbo land and you're saying it's one person or nothing, so whatever happens to that one person, Ndi Igbo will be wiped out for that particular election cycle. In 1999, only Yoruba people contested for the presidency. I am looking forward to a time where only Ndi Igbo will contest for the presidency of Nigeria. It has happened before. We are the only people in the South that has not produced the president. They must allow us to produce the president. Let me challenge the APC. If the APC today zones this ticket to Southeast, because when they talk about zoning, it is a way to deny Ndi Igbo of what is their own turn. If APC zones this ticket to Southeast, just like Atiku Abubakar said in 2023, Atiku Abubakar said, if you zone this ticket to Southeast PDP, I will not contest. If APC zones it to Southeast, I will tell ADC to zone it immediately to Southeast. And if they don't, I will campaign for APC. Take my word for it.
So you are basically an ethnic-oriented person.
Thank you for that question.
You just wanted your man from your clan,
yes,
for an Igbo man to be president. That's your grouse.
Thank you very much for that question. Because if you vote for Tinubu again in 2023, the Southwest will have it for 16 years. And they've had vice president for 8 years. And Ndi Igbo has not had it at all. No vice president, no president. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. It has something to do with justice. And I am telling you that the only reason I'm saying there should be alignment is exactly what Tinubu did. Tinubu did not recognize that Jonathan has not done 8 years. He aligned with the North and defeated Jonathan so that he could create the avenue for him to come back and become president. That is what I am doing. I am going to make all the necessary alignment to make sure that somebody from the Southeast becomes president or vice in 2027 and become president thereafter. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. I fought for Yaradua. When Yaradua died, I wrote an article why Jonathan should not run in 2011 for the North to complete their 8 years. Nobody heard me. The article is there. It was published in Sun. It was published in Lawmaker.
That same Jonathan,
Jonathan should be allowed to finish his 8 years so that you don't correct a mistake with another mistake. They did not listen to me. They cut off Goodluck Jonathan's time. And now Tinubu is coming. And you're telling me 8-year arrangement is unacceptable to me.
I mean, first of all, let's begin with a lot of the claims he made in that particular video were false. And I've done a video on this before, but it's important to also say this while we're listening to it together. Number one, there was no time the Yoruba people insisted that there must be only Yoruba president in Nigeria. It never happened. It never happened. And just in case you haven't watched that video, I advise that you watch it. I'll see if I can find you the title, and then I will recommend it because it has fuller explanation. But for the sake of this conversation, let me just say this, that number one, yes, it is true that something happened in 1993, and so the Yoruba people were denied. I mean, it was a Yoruba man, not Yoruba people. The Yoruba man was denied presidency with the annulment of June 12 elections. That was Chief MKO Abiola. That much is true. However, when 1999 came around, it wasn't Yoruba people shouting, "Hey, it's our turn, you must give it to us," and everything. No, it was actually a gentleman agreement amongst the powers that be, amongst the people within the caucus, whether the military or the civilian. And interestingly, there was a group called G24. They were the ones who eventually metamorphosed into PDP, and they also agreed with that sentiment to allow a Yoruba man run, so that they'll be able to essentially pay them back for that in 1993. But to be very clear, that was not the first time that was happening in Nigeria. Something similar happened in 1979, where the powers that be at the time thought that it was important to have an able man either become president or vice president of Nigeria 9 years after the war. And it happened, right? All the three political parties, that fielded candidates in 1979, they all had an Igbo man on the presidential or vice presidential candidate. So you look at NPP, it had Azikiwe as the presidential candidate. You look at the NPN, that had Shagari as president, but Ekweme as vice presidential candidate. The UPN, Unity Party of Nigeria, had Chief Awolowo as president and Philip Umiadi as vice presidential candidate. So there were Igbos on all the tickets. And when Shagari won, Ekweme became the vice president just 9 years after the war. And so just like it did for the Igbos in 1979, they decided to do the same thing for Yoruba people in 1993. Interestingly, the people who formed the G24, who were supposed to just say, you know what, since we've done it to, interestingly, the man who was vice president in 1979 was the same man who insisted that they wanted to also be president in 1999. Alex Ekweme, he was one of the major leaders of G24, but he said he wanted to be president in 1999. And he was the one who, enjoyed the goodwill of Nigerians in 1979 to become a vice president 9 years after the war. In 1999, he insisted that he wanted to become president. And so what happened was that there was a primary election in Jos in February of 1999. And it wasn't just him, it was of course, Obasanjo was there, Ekweme was there, Jim Obodo was there, Douglas was there, Etebet was there. A number of people, right, wanted to become president, and Obasanjo won the primary election. The reason Obasanjo actually, had a presidential candidate for PDP was not because he was Yoruba, it was because he won the presidential primaries. And all these things that people try to say right now, particularly in this case, Kenneth Okonkwo, Yoruba people said, if the Ekweme, Jim Wobodo, and the rest of them had said, you know what, let's just let this man go because, he's Yoruba, let's just have Yoruba people contest, the primaries if we have to, then you'll be able to have this mouth to say what you are saying right now. But that's not what happened in history. What happened in history was that other Nigerians, including Igbos, and folks from the South, decided to test their popularity by also contesting the primary election with Olusegun Obasanjo. And he won. And that's the reason he became the presidential candidate for PDP. With the AD, that was a no-brainer. It was a regional party, so they definitely wanted the Yoruba man to be there. So this idea that we can just jump from, I say, Yoruba people said they wanted King Kong. And another thing is this: if you calm down and really study history for what it is, then maybe you can learn strategy beyond just the things that you're saying. Oh, this is what happened, this is what happened. But how did it happen? There's some questions I always talk about that we should ask. Often when we have conversations like this, most of the things we talk about is just what. What happened? What happened? What happened? Sometimes we elevate it a bit just to who. Who was there? Who did it happen to? So usually what, who, what, who, what, who. You don't have to be very smart to have such conversations. What happened? Who did it happen to? Who was there when it happened? That's a conversation for the pedestrians. That's a pedestrian conversation for the masses. That's what I meant to say. And I don't think masses are the only ones. Masses are not really the ones. You guys are leaders and we're all thinkers, right? So we have to ask questions like why and how. By the time you ask why and how, your who begins to change. And then discover that the who in the what is not necessarily the who in the why. So all these things about just throwing tantrums and shouting, Yoruba put this, Yoruba put that, even if Yoruba put that, is this how they got it? When he said things like, I will do all the things I can do, I will do, can you imagine, I'm actually eating my chest. I will do something, I will build all the alliances. As who? You are saying Tinubu did something, you're going to build alliances. Can you do what Tinubu did? And we don't give this man his flowers. We should. We don't talk about this enough, but I think we should maybe mention some things here today. Tinubu would have become a senator after his stint as president of Nigeria. I hope you know that. That was the plan. To be clear, he was a senator in 93, became a governor in 99. He wanted to become senator again, but then he chose to let that go. And he supported someone else to run to become senator, and he chose to stay back and build the party. Who among these people could have done that? Do you think Kenneth Okonkwo will do that? And I think that may actually be the main problem in this opposition, whatever that they're trying to do. None of them can actually leave his ambition on the back burner and just say, you know what, let me just ditch my ambition for now and build a structure. That's what Tinubu was willing to do. And I'm not even talking about what he started doing in the 90s, right? I'm just starting, I mean, if you go back, you can also see more things there, right? But we're just discussing what happened in recent history, and recent being after his stint as governor in 2007. He decided to build a party. When ACN fielded their presidential candidate, it could have been Tinubu, but no, he decided to have Ribadu. This same Ribadu, the NSA, you know, he was the presidential candidate for ACN, and the vice president was Fola Adeola. Tinubu could have been presidential candidate. It was his party. He did not go. He just chilled. The second time, instead of him to run, he allowed Atiku use that platform. Atiku used Tinubu's platform, ACN. And then eventually ACN and CPC built an alliance, and then they had CPC. Tinubu wanted to become vice president. And then there was a conversation about, like, listen, you're a Muslim, this man is a Muslim, he's a northern Muslim. This thing is not going to work. By the way, let me just quickly say that it's easier for a Yoruba Muslim to have a northern Muslim vice president than a northern Muslim to have a southern Muslim vice president. Maybe we'll have that conversation some other time. Anyway, this was not going to work. Now you have built this, you have built this coalition. You can't say he single-handedly built it, but he did a lot of work in building APC to become what it was at the time. So it would make sense for him to say, you know what, this, is my my achievement. I've been able to build a party, working with other people. I now want to become a vice president so that I can become president after Buhari. But they told him the reality, and it was like, you know what, okay, let's have one of my proteges, one of the people that work with me, become the vice presidential candidate and become the vice president. So we had Professor Yemi Osinbajo become the vice president of Nigeria. Now, let me ask you a question, and you can answer for yourself. All these people, Atiku, Atiku, all of them, who amongst them would keep their goal in a can and just build structures? Who will keep their ambitions in a can and say, you know what, I'm just going to keep my ambition for a while. Let's just push this thing and build a structure. That's why APC was a formidable opposition party, and you don't have any other one right now. The closest to what Tinubu did, the closest, and it's not even the same, but the closest is what Siriaki Dixon is trying to do with NDC right now. When your ambition can just let it chill for a bit and do something about the party. I tell all of that to say that when you hear Kenneth Okonkwo say things like, I'm going to do what Tinubu did by building alliances. He didn't build alliances by going on Channel TV to be shouting and yelling and saying all kinds of things. When he was building, you didn't see it. By the way, if you're a real builder, you move in silence when it comes to certain things. The things you talk about in public are not the things you talk about in private. These guys say everything in public. Therefore, you already know where they're coming from. Therefore, what's it on? So, back to the point I was trying to make, there was no time where Yoruba were like, oh, we're going to have only Yoruba presidency. That did not happen. So, Igbo saying that right now and thinking that's how things work, that actually tells you why you've not had an Igbo president. And again, one thing about life is this: what you don't know, you don't know. If he didn't day, he didn't day. You don't know, and it's okay. Ignorance is not the problem. It's arrogance that's the problem. Once you now mix ignorance and arrogance, you are in soup. There are many things we don't know. We are not omniscient. There are certain things we don't know. So what you do is you humble yourself and learn from those who know, not by shouting on social media and saying, oh, we not go agree. I want an Igbo president. We are the only ones that have not produced president from the south. Abba. Is it if you're not from the south, or Efik, or Anang? Are they not all from the south? Is Isoko not from the south? Is Edo not from the south? Is Isha not from the south? Afemai, I don't know from the south. The people in Esako, I don't know from the south. Ijo has had president one in the history of Nigeria. At least you have had two in the history of this country. Isoko has not had the president ever. Urobo never. So what do you mean you are the only one that does not have president in the South? What kind of? And that's the thing. All this thing doesn't give you anything. It just makes you shout and you think that you're making a point, and then you feel better after talking. But then the real politicians will do what they have to do, and they will do it without you. Let me tell you one thing I'm very, very weary of. I mean, I'm not yet in full politics, although it looks like somewhere, somehow down the line, we're going to get involved. But there's something I've noticed about politics. It's better for them to have to negotiate with you and say that you're hard, although you should not be hard. You should be flexible, right? You should to concede on some things, and have compromises here and there. But it's better for them to say this person is hard than for them to say that this person doesn't matter. And what Okonkwo does not realize is this: nobody, and it's a sad reality, to be clear. There's nothing cool about it, and that's why I'm trying to slow down. There's nothing cool about what I'm about to say. But I'm not the only one who has said it. Many people who think, if you can think, you will know this, that you do not need you do not need any votes from the Southeast in order to become president of Nigeria. Think about that for a second. If you're from the Southeast, what it does is that it humbles you, and then you begin to ask, what else can we do to be able to get in there? Not just to be shouting and telling everybody, you are marginalizing me. You don't feature in conversations that have to do with winning. That's a very terrible thing that's a terrible reality. And I'm not saying this I'm not saying it like, oh, you don't feature in Kinikon. That's not the point. I'm just explaining that you can't shout like this and expect people to listen to you when they know that they can do it without you. And it's been proven since 2015. We've had 3 electoral cycles where the person who won and became president did not get anything significant from the Southeast, and they became president regardless. And it was not because they rigged, it was because the votes from there did not matter. And I say that with all the, I met someone today and the person said I was a bit harsh. I was like, I'm always trying to be as soft as possible. I try to be as soft, but Buhari became president in 2015. Igbos did not vote for him. He became president again in 2019. Igbos did not vote for him. Tinubu became president in 2023. Igbos did not vote for him. What makes you think ADC will think about your region in 2027? Forget APC for a second. What makes you think that? What are you going to tell ADC that will make them now give you a vice presidential candidate? What are you negotiating on? Especially when they know, and this is the interesting part, when they know that you vote as a bloc, right? And they notice, they've seen the trajectory from 99. It's been PDP until Peter Obi. By the way, when you have conversations, people say things like, oh, we voted this, we voted that. It's actually a party loyalty thing. And there's nothing wrong with that if you know how to play it. Unless, of course, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. Anyway, you have this loyalty towards a party, PDP, and then Peter Obi comes along, and then you switch loyalty to one of your own, which is not bad. But here's the problem. Peter Obi has left ADC now and has gone to NDC, which means most likely he's going to get something similar, if not the same thing as what he got in the last election from the Southeast, where some states voted 94%, 90%, 86%, 83% for Peter Obi. Aggregate was about 90%. So if I were ADC, why would I have another Igbo person on the ticket when I know that these people are already sold on the presidential ticket for Peter Obi? All of that to just say that it's important for people to understand that it's not about shouting. It's more like you've got to actually negotiate based on, and I'm sure, I want to say this, I'm very sure that there are certain things that the Southeast can lean on as forms of strength. There's nobody who is totally weak, and there's nobody who is totally strong. We all have our weaknesses as individuals and as ethnicities or regions. So again, this is not a conversation about this one is better than this one. Everybody has his weaknesses, but you play to your strength. These guys always play to their weaknesses, which is weird. I want to play you something from someone who works with Professor Charles Soludo. I'll go back to Keto later, but this is from Ben Uwanko, the Chief of Staff to Anambra State Governor, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo. Please take a listen to this, and hopefully, if you hear it from someone else who is not me, maybe to make, especially if it's Igbo, maybe to make some things a bit clearer. Take a listen, please.
Kenya brought part of the making. Buhari's presidency, his first tenure, all the while on as the president, a mellow vice. But when he became the presidential candidate in the one that he succeeded, the total number of votes went from Southeast Asia 20,000. So he became president without Ndibo. True or false? Is that true or false? Second time he came around. Because he knew that the previous one, he became president without, I mean, you didn't help him, you didn't support him, you didn't hinder him. It happened. Yes. Then came Tinubu. Tinubu contested election. Yes, our brother was contesting. Good enough. We all voted for him. But eventually, Tinubu became president. The lesson from that is that what is it possible for a president to be made in a country where we are without our contribution? In other words, we can't help, we can't hinder. That is, we are not part of it. That's why I said, are we really influential as a people? We need to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, are we behind that and wait? If you ask me, are we influential or are we loud? There's a difference between being influential and being loud, if you ask me. And if a man has some money, some bits and pieces of money, just go Rolls Royce and then the rest will convoy and the rest of things like that. Private jets everywhere. Loud and influence. Which one? And that brings me to the last issue, the way to go. First, we should be determined to be part of the Federation of Nigeria. If we say we are part of the Federation of Nigeria, we really should exercise good influence. Up to moments that you feel that, look, that's politics. But to sit aside, the worst is, because the worst set of destruction is self-destruction. Self-destruction mode. On Mondays, when you sit back, the economy of this country is not put on pause. Everything is moving. The monies that are supposed to flow into the southeast for a Monday that is the beginning of the week, the most active economic day of the week is Monday. You stay aside. For the southwest, for the north, for the south. Who is losing? Nobody. The people who are benefiting don't even want you to end it because they are benefiting. Self-destruction. Then you turn around again, people will be killing people all in the name of what I do not know. Who are the beneficiaries? So we need to look at all these and ask ourselves, should we continue the way we are or should we change? If you ask me, the latter is better and the earlier the better. Thank you very much.
I mean, they clapped for the man in that video. I think I should clap for him right here. You see, it's good when, like I always say, there are exceptions to the rule, and those are people who have chosen not to drink the Kool-Aid and follow the mob or the popular thinking. Oh, it's marginalization. Oh, it's marginalization. It's not marginalization. It's a self-inflicted wound. And it's quite interesting what they said. Do you want influence or do you want to be loud? I mean, I think it's a question for people. But just to say that people can become president without you. You can't help, you can't hinder. That means you're not important to them, at least from their perspective. They may be wrong, by the way, but that's the vibe that folks get, right? I'll read a few comments before we go on to the other things that Kenneth Okonkwo said, and then Peter Obi's response to him in recent times. Dr. Badru says they can't help and they can't hinder. Buhari, a dot description is apt. It is well. Lagos says Igbos are not in the first 1 to 50 wealthy people in Nigeria. I mean, I don't know about that. I think it's not really about the wealthiest. It's just about, I think it's really about influence, being influential. Right? If you have money and you're influential, but where is the money going to say, I will not look, I will record the music. That's the thing, isn't it? you can make all the noise, and we have conquered everywhere. We have bought all your land, like Iblis was saying the other day. We have bought all your land. We'll rent it out to you. Meanwhile, you have a lot of people saying that they're not renting houses to them in Lagos. I'm like, since you bought all the lands and you bought all the houses, how come you now need to rent places? It's just quite interesting what happens. There's someone here on Makinde says that his father is a dimwit on Facebook, and then he asks if Tinubu won the last election. Go and ask INEC. All right, and you can take your dimwit of a father with you on your way there. God bless you. Next is our brother here, Mwaki. He said, "You say nothing but the truth. Even in 1993 election, MK Abiola did not win Igbo's vote." I mean, it's true. You say Igbo did not vote for him. It's actually true. I mean, you've heard people say things like, "Oh, we voted for MK," but that's not true. In 1993, there were 4 states in the southeast, right? 4. And of those 4, MK Abiola only won in 1 state, Anambra State. Of those 4 states, he lost in Imo, he lost in Abia, he lost in Enugu. He only won in Anambra. So the idea that they always vote Kiniko is just a joke. But again, I'm glad you mentioned that, because they always put these things out, and it's important to counter these false narratives. Michael Olumola on YouTube says, Okonkwo just said Igbos have never become president and vice president. It's a lie. Zik was Nigeria's first president, and Okonkwo was Nigeria's first executive vice president. Thank you very much for that. Femi Aribatishe, it says Okonkwo was wrong. In 1999, Obasanjo and Ekweme were 2 strong presidential candidates in the PDP primary, which he lost to Obasanjo. Yes. Thank you very much for that. Just read one more from Yemi Akin today. He says, I covered the PDP presidential, this is from Facebook. I covered the PDP presidential primary in Jos in 1999. Oh, great to have you join us. I mean, people like you should, we cherish your contribution. So let me read it properly. Let me continue reading, but I want you to listen properly or attentively, because this is somebody who was there. We're all there, but definitely we're not covering I wasn't covering the primary apparently. So it says here, I covered the PDP presidential primary election in Jos in 1999. Tommy Kimi was the umpire. He was dramatic in counting the votes, which trended for a long time. I remember that bit. I remember that one because it was on TV. The Igbos in Jos had blocked all hotels in Jos for Ekweme and Jim Wobodo, to the extent that members who came from the west did not get accommodation. They were sleeping on the roads. Even Ugochukwu, former MD of Daily Times, who was spokesman of Obasanjo, thought an Igbo man slept on the road. At the end of the day, Obasanjo won. That's a bit of history right there. I didn't know that. Thank you very much for sharing that, Mr. Yemi Akintunde. So again, there was a primary election, and unlike Peter Obi, Obasanjo still ran, and he had to face people like Ekweme, Jim Obodo, and Etiebet, and Graham Douglas, and so on and so forth. And then he eventually won. And so it's not because, we're doing, Yoruba people said it must be them. By the way, if you also notice the way Yoruba people move, maybe we can all learn from one another, hopefully, if you think it's important. But if you don't think it's important, that's also okay. Anyway, this is what Kenneth Okonkwo said about Atiku a while back. So let's shift the gears just a bit. Now I'll play you something about himself and Obi, then I'll now play you what Obi said in response. So this is Kenneth Okonkwo on Atiku Abubakar. Again, politics here we go. So all this, and that's why I tell young people who are interested in politics and who are fighting family members and saying, I hate this person because he did not vote for my Messiah. You need a brain check. Politicians don't care, okay? You've got to understand. But in case you don't understand what I'm saying, please listen to Kenneth Okonkwo and his description of the man who he eventually is now supporting, although he says he's not going to support him now just because he chose a non-Igbo vice presidential candidate. So much for not being an ethnic jingoist. But take a listen to this.
That has propensity for... Atiku Abubakar is a man that has propensity for corruption, tendency to disloyalty, inability to say and speak the truth at all times. So he's a man who has propensity for poor judgment, belief and reliance in matter about, lack of transparency, a man who trusts in money to buy his way out in all situations, a man who has the readiness to sacrifice morality integrity, propriety, truth, national interest for self and selfish interest. We are seeing it manifesting. It gives me goose pimples that Atiku has the national award in corrupting the generation before him and corrupting the generation after him.
Come back. I mean, you don't see all those things, so someone you're eventually now going to tell us that is the next thing since sliced bread. But to his credit and in his defense, he has said that he's not going to be campaigning for Atiku, and that's because it's not because Atiku did anything wrong. It's just because Atiku did not choose an Igbo vice presidential candidate. Again, in case you're joining all these people shouting, you people are bigots, you are tribalists, if you don't allow our ethnicity, you understand now that the person who is shouting bigot is himself, all about his ethnic interest. And I don't think it's necessarily bad. I mean, it could be bad, but in this case, I don't think it's necessarily bad. What is really bad is hypocrisy and the gaslighting, right? People who would hold others to a standard that they can never measure up to. And then if a Yoruba person, I was talking to some people earlier today, we tend to always want to apologize and say, oh, then you point to, the person who wants to run should run. And just because they didn't choose an Igbo presidency, vice president in ADC, doesn't mean the party would not function. But I don't think he got the memo, but I'm sure the people who are planning know exactly what they're doing. Because, by the way, the gentleman, Mr. Wako, who is the chief of staff to Soludo, he mentioned something I didn't mention earlier, but he didn't even go deep into it. I just want to quickly say something about it. That you have to understand that before 2015, all the vice presidential candidates that Buhari had fielded had always been from the southeast. Think about that for a second. He had the Kadigbo. I think before Kadigbo, he had another gentleman. But they were always Igbo people. I'll look for the names of the other one. 1 second, please. Let me get you the names. I remember Kadigbo because that one was, he was Senate president, so I think that probably gave it more publicity. Before he then had Tunde Bakare in he had Tunde Bakare in 2011. So he also failed in that one. But he had an Igbo man, then he had a Kadigbo, and he failed in the East. I'll find you the name. I'm trying to check. Yes, I found it. It was Okadigbo in 2003. It was Edwin Ume Ezeoke in 2007. And then it was in 2011 that he now had Tunde Bakare. So think about it. If a man had tried people from your region, vice presidential candidates in 2003, who happened to be a major person in Nigerian politics, Chuba Okadigbo, and he failed. And then he tried Edwin Ume Ezeoke in 2007, who is also supposed to help him garner votes in the southeast, but you choose to go for PDP. Any sensible strategist, political strategist would know that now that your loyalty has moved from PDP to Peter Obi, nobody, regardless of the family house they brought that Igbo person from to become Atiku's vice president, would win. So it was just basic common sense for them to go the route they did. And if he hates Atiku for that, then that means that you don't probably understand, that politicians do all of these things not for fairness, but to win. I mean, in your fairness, there has to be something that will help you win. There's nothing wrong with fairness, to be clear, but there has to be some. Okay, so what's the sense? You are fair, but you don't win. So you want your fairness to also help you win. And I hope people get to understand that later. But here's something he said about Peter Obi, and they will play what Peter Obi said in response in a bit. Take a listen to Kenneth Okonkwo. And by the way, I've said it several times, there must be something between them, and I hope that somehow they sort it out between themselves. Take a listen to Kenneth Okonkwo speaking on how Peter Obi is collecting money from wherever. Take a listen, please.
Anybody who is voting for NDC and P2B is voting for criminality. And I will prove it with facts. I will call names. There is one man called Obunike Ohebu, the House of Representatives aspirant, Newi North and Newi South. and Ekusigo local government from Anambra State. He sent an SOS to me. And he said that P2B is now the head of criminality, that they were scammed in NDC. And he said, Kwankwaso went back to his people and made sure that every constituency produced one candidate so that they will not be scammed. But P2B told them that all of them, the aspirants, should go into the field and that they thought they were going to have primaries. Remember, Sereka Dixon came out and said, once you pay your expression of interest form, you are not going to pay any money. When you are now the one that is nominated, that's when they will take nomination fee. And all of them ran into it. Then P2B and the leaders of the Southeast now went and told them, anybody who wants to be House of Rep person, after paying that expression of interest, must pay 10 million naira bribe. And Senate, 20 million naira bribe. When they were
bribe to who?
Bribe to the NDC and the caucus. They call them caucus leaders in the Southeast. This was what he wrote it and sent to me, and sent me the receipt, because they told him he needed money to campaign for his presidency. Now, when they downplayed, they were told individually. So they thought they were now the chosen candidate, that maybe that is the nomination fee. When all of them paid, they discovered there were many. Then we are now told to go into the field for direct primary. And when they now went into the field, they thought that there was going to be genuine primary. And as they were in that field, killing themselves, P2B was in John Wood Hotel. He mentioned the hotel, writing the list of candidates. And after that, they submitted it. You know what he said? He said, I am not disappointed that I lost the ticket. I am rather disappointed that I invested my time, resources, and reputation in a process that is becoming increasingly opaque and inconsistent with the democratic principles it proclaimed. And this is another man from Enugu State, a highly political person, sent to me. And you know what he said? He said, I have a direct taste of the fraud called P2B. Recently in NDC.
But we must put that, yes.
NDC has become a national dialogue for criminality.
No, but just a moment.
Discussion of criminal.
Mr. Okonkwo, you do acknowledge that that was the testimony of one person, and it's an allegation.
No.
You haven't investigated that.
Hold on.
To be able to say you did your own investigation, yes, and you found it to be true.
What, did you know what Aisha said? He said they did not even give me, I'm not talking about level playing ground. They did not give me ground at all. He said it on TV. I'm talking about corroboration. A lot of them have said it. And you know why I'm annoyed? You said I did the investigation. I am the leader of ADC in Enugu State. The same people with thoughts that they will not extort the aspirants. They are the people that went to NDC and they started extorting the aspirants. NDC has come out with a statement trying to distance themselves from what is happening in the Southeast. And they said it is the caucus leaders in the Southeast that are responsible.
Yeah.
P2B from Anambra State, Okwesilezen Nwodo from Enugu State, Ugochukwu Onyema from Abia State, Atiku from Imo State, and what else is remaining?
Yeah, but don't you think that is?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not trying
Five
to
states in the Southeast.
exonerate
You know what
anyone.
I'm telling you? We want to bring new leadership in the Southeast because of leaders like this. That is why Southeast has been coming last in Nigerian politics. Southeast people are marginalized in the federal government. We fight to eat. And after that, some of our leaders are calling us and scamming us. I told them that Peter is going to scam them.
Yeah, but
that is a political con man. Look at what is happening.
I'm saying that, you know
again, you will go to diaspora. I don't give shish, but you collect shish.
Mr. Okonkwo, I think it's important.
Wow, that was a lot. That was a lot. And I mean, you've heard this before because we had a session on it. And just in case you didn't watch that when we had the session, please go on our YouTube channel. Busui Oris, that's the name of the channel on YouTube, and look for the video Igbo Presidency. Kenneth Okonkwo exposes Peter Obi, and we went a bit, deeper in that particular video. Anyway, we all know what happened after this. The man Obanike came out and said he didn't say so. Then Kenneth went ahead to release screenshots of their chats showing that he indeed said some things and shared some things with Kenneth Okonkwo. And then Peter Obi decided to slam him with 5 billion naira lawsuit, and that went on for a bit because, of course, Peter Obi is not going to let that slide. But it's taken a different turn now. Peter Obi was a guest on Rufai Hosseini's podcast. By the way, he had a podcast, and Peter Obi was there, and he talked about why he chose to sue Okonkwo. I think we should listen to that. Take a listen, please.
I'd like to ask you, infighting in your political party, some people feel disgruntled. One of your lieutenant, Aisha Yusuf, feel disgruntled. Serake Diskin has come out to say that nobody's doing anybody a favor. What's happening in your political party? In fact, there were allegations that came out recently that Kenneth Okonkwo made you take him to court for 5 billion as regards monies exchanging hands in your political party. People are saying the NDC is not different from the APC you are castigating, and you are saying you are the ones that will change the order of things for democracy.
Let me assure you that whatever you think is infighting in our party is nothing compared of what you see in other parties, and there's no issue. It's an issue when you have an organization. There are times some disagreements or minor issues which we've been talked over, been resolved, and everything, and that's it. The issue of taking Kenneth Okonkwo to court wouldn't have been there if only Kenneth stopped at even allegation. But he said he has a lot that he will talk in the future.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that when I said, I'm taking you to court, he said, now that he's being taken to court, that he will not be able to disclose or bring in the open all those things he wanted to keep behind. I think Rufai, as a leader, this is time to scrutinize, avail ourselves for scrutiny by the public, so people can hear all the bad things about us, because it is important that our future leaders must be who they say they are, in terms of character, in terms of integrity, in terms of competence, in terms of qualification, in terms of everything. So once he said that, I said, wait a minute, we must go further. So they can help. Because some of the things we're seeing today that the young ones are doing are examples they've learned from our leaders. So this is time to ensure that those who are coming to lead us now must be people of character. Everything. No, don't.
Because he threatened that it's not a good thing.
Not just Kenneth.
So, you want Kenneth to go and expose you. That's why you're taking
everything. No, don't.
Because he threatened that it's not a good thing.
Not just Kenneth. Yeah. Everybody should not say those things they know that is bad about me or I did that is wrong, because it's good for the system. It's good for the society. So if you know that when we were in primary school, this man was cheating or didn't go to the primary school, didn't go to secondary school, didn't do, if you know this man had done something criminal somewhere, this is time to bring it up. We must not allow the next set of our leaders to have a record that is doubtful.
Okay. Arabambi, I don't know if you might know.
All right, we'll go back to that later. But I mean, I agree with Peter Obi, interestingly, that it's important for all leaders to have, everything about them out in the open, whatever it is that people want to say about them, they should say it. But I don't think you have to pay 5 billion naira in order to say what you want to say. So if all you want is for him to, divulge whatever secrets he claims to have, then just challenge him to do that. You don't have to tell him to pay 5 billion naira, But again, I mean, perhaps he's trying to also protect his own image, which is understandable. But that was Peter Obi talking about the reason for the 5 billion lawsuit and why he's taking Kenneth Okonkwo to court. But that's not the only thing he said to Rufai Oseni. He also talked about the fact, he also reiterated the fact that he would be spending one term in office as president. I mean, he's not going to win, just to be clear, but it's important to listen to people who dream. There's no reason to not, for anybody not to dream. I mean, maybe he could be president. I mean, I can never say he would never be president, but definitely cannot be 2027. Like what I want to tell you, because you don't want someone to just go there and just cut everything. By the way, if you listen to some of the speeches he gave last couple of days, which we're going to get to eventually, you will know why I'm saying he should not be the one to lead this country. He doesn't have the capacity. Just saying things that have no basis in reality. But again, it is what it is. But take a listen to some of the things he said to Rufai. In this particular clip, he talked about how he would spend only one term in office as president. But again, it's Peter Obi. Take a listen, please. One second, it's taking a minute. I'm just going to quickly get that sorted. 1 second, please.
Won't you do another attempt to see all these?
No.
Why?
When you are driving in the right direction, people will continue. I, Peter, will not spend more than 4 years in office because I believe in stability of the place. But in that 4 years, I would have changed a lot of things. And people will see it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is there anything objectively that we can say in a matter of approach or procedure Nnamdi Kanu did wrong?
Of course, yes.
What did he do wrong?
No, it's not me. It's not for me. What I'm saying is that in negotiation, in trying to bring
can we
peace,
point out and that's what I say, objectively speaking, what Nnamdi Kanu did wrong?
No,
if you admit that he has done something wrong, what did he do wrong?
Let me tell you. I've listened to his statements at times, where he said maybe harm somebody, kill somebody, do this and everything, right? I won't say it. I don't say things like that.
He was wrong, and that's
why. He has even said it against me. But I'm saying in building unity, that's why I said I will negotiate, not just Nnamdi Kanu, Sunday Igboho, all of them, they all use foul languages. But in building unity, Mandela used foul languages and everything. In building unity, it's time for us to overlook this and say, hey, come, we can't build unity like this. Because of what he was doing, Southeast was, cut off from Monday.
Apart from that, weeks. The sit at home, the arms, and all that things.
No. I didn't know about arms. I'm talking about, I just said it, Monday, sit at home, all those things. So, but we are not talking about past. I said, I will build unity. And in building unity, you include everybody. That includes not looking at yesterday, but using the experience of yesterday to build the future and saying, okay, we cut off this line. Everybody, let's come together. Let's live together. Let's love each other.
But what if the agitations continue? See, and you see, the point some people are making.
There's nothing wrong.
Some people are making is this.
Yes.
Nnamdi Kanu is not going to be the first that will bring up the agitations for marginalization of.
No, but
Ralph was Ricky.
No, but somebody had just said you just said that somebody said we have reached Biafra.
No, that was Omai.
No, you said now.
That this is the Biafra
Yeah,
that we need and
so
all
since
of
we
that.
have reached there now, we are reconciling with those who were agitating yesterday.
Okay.
Since we are now in Biafra, let's bring those who agitated for it.
Yeah.
Since somebody has said we have reached it,
so
we are not in it.
So what we are saying is,
all right. That was Peter Obi, and the father is going to do one term in office as president. But guess what? They asked him a simple question. I mean, it was Rufai Oseli. He asked him how he plans to fix Nigeria, and this was Peter Obi's response. Take a listen.
You can't be the
forget about plan.
You can't be the house without plan.
No, they have no.
You can't be without architectural plan.
Let me even tell you, there's no even plan in this one. Nobody has seen the plan. Nobody has seen the foundation. All they are saying, we will build. We are going to do this. We are going to do this. What we now want to do is that I'm going to put the plan, and you see the construction site going on.
Okay.
And you feel it.
Okay. But you will need more than one time to do it.
No, you don't need.
Why?
How many times did this man take?
No.
In 3 years, President Tinubu have pulled from 87 million people to 140 into poverty, minus it in 3 years.
But it's also increased foreign reserve.
No,
in 3 years.
No, forget that. Let's not go there. Don't go there.
Why? Why should
no.
Go there? It's part of his achievement.
No.
I can criticize him for other things, but I can also say his achievement.
Please. The government are measured by the welfare of the people, not by any other thing. The other thing you do is secondary. It's the welfare of the people. Go at the average business.
But it's giving over 1.5 million people student loan.
No.
It's not part of the welfare of the people.
You're going to this thing. Go to our schools. Go to our universities. You wouldn't ever enter there. You wouldn't even do anything there.
Okay.
I'm telling you, even there, things will change.
If you are there, things will change. Now meant I say you don't need plan. Somebody says 3 years. No, it's not 3 years. It's 3 missing you. Oh boy. Like I say now, people just a dream. Just with some comments here. Someone says he intends to lead Nigeria on its way to destruction. They ask him the how, but he won't say the how because he doesn't know the how. He doesn't. And my battlefield says, can you see how non-combative Oseni treated Obi? I put it to him. He will not put anything to Peter Obi, interestingly. Because again, I mean, he has a soft spot for him, which is okay. I mean, if I'm talking to be honest, if I'm talking to Obi, I will not be combative either, to be fair. I think equal treatment makes you the objective person you try to claim to be. Not that you go to one and you're shouting, I put it to you, you go to the other person and you're like, yeah, tell us now. Anyway, that was Peter. One more clip from that conversation, and then we'll move on to other things. Please take a listen to Peter Obi as he speaks on what he spoke with Tinubu on during the inauguration of the Pope in Rome. And then I'll play what he said about Sheikh Gumi. Take a listen to, again, His Excellency Peter Gregory Obi.
When they had the ceremonies for the Pope, and you had a conversation was facilitated by Kayode Fayemi. What did you say to him?
No, we didn't have a conversation. We just greeted each other. Yeah, we just greeted.
Have you spoken to him on some of these your ideas? Have you guys, do you interact, do you exchange or compare notes?
We have not. We don't do that.
Do you think you and the values of your value and the value of President Tinubu align?
Well, that's for Nigerians to judge, not me. They will know.
You don't align on anything?
No. I said the president, you cannot assess yourself. You allow the public to assess you. The Nigerian people is that.
Sorry, I have to break this. What kind of rubbish is this? Do you align with the president on anything? You cannot judge yourself. Who is asking you to judge yourself? Is this the person that wants to lead a nation? Or be a country of many nations? You can't even lead one nation with this kind of mindset. Do you align with the president on anything? I mean, even if you're going to just zero in on Nel Fund and say I align with him on how to on welfare of the populace, in terms of thinking, or in terms of the whatever, the nail fund, the student loans being given out. That's there is no way on earth that you're a politician in this country and there's nothing you align with when you're discussing Tinubu. You may not like him, and that's okay. You may not agree with his policies, and that's fine. But that you don't agree with one thing, that means, you can't, for instance, you cannot even mention reversal of subsidy, removal of subsidy. Are you saying that if you become president, you're going to reinstate subsidy? What do you mean people have to judge you? Nobody's asking you to be judged or judge yourself or whatever. They're just asking you, do you align with him on anything? And I don't think this tells you that people don't really know what they're talking about. Forget the person. Is there anything he's doing that you align with? And you're like, the people will judge me. Who is talking about judgment? They're asking A is giving you P, and we have to listen. Anyway, let's listen to. It's becoming a chore at this moment, but let's just take a listen. I think there's something there, so let's find it.
You cannot assess yourself. You allow the public to assess you. The Nigerian people is assessing both of us and know what our values are like.
Can I ask you, is there anything President Tinubu has done well?
Well, it's what is done well and what is to say what is the improvement. Under President Tinubu, I said it, more people have been thrown into poverty. Our debt has increased. Power supply worsened. So because you are an investigative journalist, maybe there's some things you know that is better. I don't know. I should be asking you.
Okay, so for you, are saying the debt has increased, things are better. So for you, there's nothing he's done. Your path is not an easy one, Pio. You suffered a lot of betrayals. How do you deal with betrayal? There was somebody on TV yesterday, Valentine. He's also left your fold. He used to be your very strong inner caucus man. He went to vie for APC and all of that. You've had people that are close to you leave you. How do you keep moving on with all these betrayals?
Well, let me tell you. Nobody have actually betrayed me.
Okay. Even Kenneth Okonkwo?
No.
Okay.
They actually, if it's betrayal, they're betraying the country. Rufai, my commitment is to Nigeria. I have no reason to be involved in what I'm doing today, because it's putting my life, personal life, into difficulty, into risk. My family are suffering for it. I have no reason. I don't need, and I say it categorically, I do not need a penny of public money to live today. If God keeps me the way I am today, Rufai, I can afford to live and eat 3 square meals for the rest of my life. Every week, Rufai, I visit a school, a hospital, mosque every week. You can go and check it. Just start today documenting it. And in each that I go, Rufai, I've not spent less than 10 million naira. Not one. I do not need public money. That's why I said, if I go into public today and say public money that I'm not entitled to, I ought to receive punishment from God. I want to see Nigeria work for the young Nigerians.
You know, when you talk about not stealing public money, people are quick to say the brewery matter. Ah, you invest in brewery.
No, they is investigated. In fact, go and investigate it. Go and investigate everything I've done in my life. If you find anything wanting, I stop campaigning. I've challenged people since I left in 2014. Forget the rumor. I said I don't deal with rumor. Everything I do is open. You've just asked me, oh, they said he's involved with the Pandora Papers. It's a structured estate transfer system, which I save little money for my family. I'm one. No, not. It's open to everybody. Open to you. If you want, I give you the statement, everything inside it. I don't hide it.
You talked about your family.
There are so many things that, I mean, if you say...
It is well with Peter Obi. I mean, I believe him when he said that it doesn't have to be in politics, that he can afford to feed himself 3 square meals a day. I mean, he's a rich man. He's a rich man. So, I mean, I believe that. But nobody asks him. Nobody is clamoring for him to do what he's doing. He's doing it because he also has an ambition. So it's not like you're doing it for me. You're doing it for yourself. All right. So don't expect, whatever. And then I'll play one more thing from that interview with Shegumi. Because the man, and see, this is the thing for me, right? Like, I don't have to like you as a presidential candidate, but I can be inspired by you. It's very sad that Peter Obi does not even try. Like, say something that can even, like, make somebody even, I don't know, just very drab. Anyway, here he's speaking on Sheikh Gumi with Rufai Oseni. Take a listen, please.
What's your Sheikh Gumi? What's your take about Sheikh Gumi that supports or that says things in favor of these bandits?
I keep saying.
Objectively.
I keep saying.
Are there things that you can say Sheikh Gumi has done wrong?
I keep saying, I want to discuss with everybody. I'm not here to apportion blame. Who is wrong? Who is right? I want to sit down with everybody. In solving these problems, I want to sit down with everybody and say, let's go this way, let's do it this way, let's do it this way. For example, as president, I will sit down with people and talk. And you see it. I did it as governor. I brought people, traditional rulers.
What if they don't listen to you?
They will listen to me now. They are in the problem. How can you say you call somebody who is sick, come to hospital, say he won't come? He will come now because he wants to be here. He wants to recover.
You met President Tinubu, and when they had the ceremonies for the Pope, and you had a conversation was facilitated by that's land mass and things like that. At least you'll be able to give us how you'll be able to do your agricultural plan. How will you do it?
No, when you say, how are we going to do agriculture? How are we going to do this? I've told you, how is not a rocket science. Rufai, I've run a business for, let me tell you, when I was the bank chairman, that's how the smallest bank became 25 billion bank. I'm no longer involved with any bank now. Now I can tell you. Wow. When they said banks should move from 2 billion to 25 billion, everybody said, no, let's find who will take us over. Who will take us over? Do that. I said, me. No. Other banks want to become 25 billion. Why can't we? They said, no, we're too small. We were just barely about under 2 billion. I said, we will become. The rest is history.
Yeah, but you did something.
No. That's what I'm telling you. We didn't. So, what I have already told you said is that if Bangladesh with 148,000 square kilometers of land, Bangladesh with 148,000 square kilometers, which if you divide it with their population, Rufai, of 170 million, it will come to about 0.87 or something square meter. And Nigeria, with 923,000 square kilometers, divided by the population, is about 4 meters. So 4 meters is what Nigeria is. Bangladesh is 0.87 square kilometers. Nigeria is 4 square kilometers per person. And they produce 50 to 60 million tons of rice. And we are not producing 10% of that. We will do it.
But they don't have the security we have.
No, you see, that's what I'm telling you.
And you're not going to solve that insecurity overnight. Because it's been there for like 20 years.
I'm not
and that's why we keep asking how.
I'm not saying you're going to solve it overnight. But I've also gone to prisons and seen young men who are involved in the same insecurity. You're asking them, why did you do this? They say they have no job. What were you paid in last operation? 30, 40, 50,000 naira. It's the same thing. The more you put people out of poverty, Rufai, the more you reduce criminality. It's happened all over the world, even in Asia. So that's how. I'm not saying I'm going to solve it overnight. I've never claimed, no, it's fine. I've never claimed I'm going to solve it overnight. You can't achieve it overnight. Nobody expects you as a government to have 100% success, but they expect you to have 100% effort.
So
and that's what I'm going to put.
So these are your plans. It would take like 6-5. I don't know if you might know.
Oh, but this is plenty, but the man is not inspiring. So let's just stop. There's another clip where I talked about Arab&B and Labour Party. But I don't those who believe in this man, please, if you don't mind, when it's time to come up, please come up, and maybe if you can explain, perhaps I'll get it. I would really love to understand where it's coming from and what it means by all this. For instance, you don't have any local or, personal experiences that you can use as examples. It's always Argentina or Senegal or China went to China or Indonesia or Bangladesh. Indonesia's currency, for instance, is going through some very crazy times right now. It went from, it's now around 18,000 plus, to $1. Then you tell us about Argentina. They're also having problem with inflation. Then you go all the way to Bangladesh. It's always something, as though you were never governor. You cannot say, okay, when I was governor, I took 1,000 kinikon hectares. I don't know if you have that much, but I took so and so number of acres, and then we planted something when I was governor, and see what we did. No, you must go to China and Bangladesh. Well, statistics, that's why people say statistics will go chop, because you just make things up on the go. There's another video where I made something up. I was like, Shay was yesterday, we were talking about how Peter was talking about closer so now that 10 Downing Street only has 3 bedrooms, and that's where the Prime Minister, where the British Prime Minister lives, just 3 bedrooms. He just say things. For instance, in case you have not heard, he also went to University of South California and dropped one amazing lamba. This was a couple of years ago, by the way, but I think it's the same spirit of folks just lambaing us with all kinds of lamba. But in case you were not aware, take a listen to this.
10 days with them. The University of Southern California, I spent days with them, where the entire faculty are people who have sat in jail, all the professors. And then what they do is to giving people just what you're doing. And you'll be shocked. what they've been able to do. I saw the dean of faculty said, I did 28 years. I saw the registrar, everybody, they've done years. And it was amazing, and they are professors. And they are, what are they doing? So, when you see such a thing, when you hear what you're doing, which here, everybody thinks that if you go to jail, most of them are even people who are not supposed to be there in the first place. If there's people who should be there, it's just politicians. For what we've done for the country, you know, because yes.
So number one, he said he went to University of California. Apparently where he went was actually California State University, Sacramento. And what he's talking about, I mean, so number one, there is no time where you can say, okay, all the faculty members are ex-convicts. Haba. Anyway, we went to check, and this is what we discovered. We discovered that, yes, by the way, I did this on, it's just basic Googling. There is no faculty or department at USC where every academic professor is an ex-convict. It's not true. It's a big lie. However, there's a program they ran in SAC State, that's California State University, Sacramento. The project is called Project Rebound. And that project helps formerly incarcerated students reintegrate via education. In other words, those who have been to prison, those who have been to jail, when they come out, they're able to reintegrate them, you know, into society through Project Rebound. That's what they are doing in the university, not that all the faculty members are ex-convicts. And Peter B will make this thing up not to justify, e.g., something like what happened in Ethiopia recently. By the way, I don't know if you've read the ridiculous stuff we wrote about the Ethiopia prisoner exchange that happened, you know, a couple of days ago. He mentioned everybody but the president. He couldn't even acknowledge the fact that the president was the one who spearheaded the thing. Peter B is just an interesting character. You know, I'll play another game from that same video. You just, those of you who are supporting me, are just being lambered, you know, and that's why it is well with you. Let me not say any other thing. Take a listen to another lamber from His Excellency Peter B. Peter B.
Is against you. Everything starts with how the system enable you to create. That's why I said, if Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, all these people were here, let me tell you, they won't start. I went to the UK and walked into the bank. They gave me a loan based on my intellectual capital. What does that mean? When the manager looked at it and said, oh, you were in Cambridge. Oh, you were in Oxford. You were in this. Oh, what do you want? If you graduate today in the UK, for many of the universities, you walk into the bank, they give you credit card immediately and give you a loan. Nobody will give you anything here. You must bring your mother, bring your father's land, bring anything.
So here's something. This is why I don't, rate this guy at all. It doesn't inspire. It just, spreads pessimism. So let's speak to two things that he mentioned. Number one, he said that, if Steve Jobs were in Nigeria, he would not have been able to build anything. Maybe he's talking about his own reality, but it's the same Nigeria that we got Flutterwave. Flutterwave was built by a Nigerian in Nigeria for Nigerians. It's now over $1 billion in valuation. It's a unicorn. This same Nigeria gave us, and by the way, I should mention the name. You have Inyolu Aboyeji and Benga Agbola. They built Flutterwave together. Of course, Benga is the essentially owner of Flutterwave. The same Inyolu also worked on Andela in Nigeria. You have Paystack. Or you could say Inyolu studied abroad. Paystack the guy Shola went to school in Ife. All right. the idea that people cannot make anything out of Nigeria is only IPOB and Biafrans that think that way. People are making it. If you're not, just pray, and all of us should do this. Sit down and pray. God, open my eyes. There must be something in this land for me, and I'm not even joking. I'm serious, guys. There's something for all of us in this land. If you spend some time, forget all this also. Lord, God, show me. See, I say I'm serving you. Just let me see. Not let me be running all over the place. There's something there. The gentleman who started Money Point, he went to Ife as well. And Money Point is also a unicorn now. Kuda Bank, Babs Ogundeyi, is a unicorn. InterSwitch is a unicorn. Andela is a unicorn. These are billion-dollar industries, billion-dollar entities in Nigeria, founded by Nigerians. See, it's not like things are easy in this country, but where are things easy? Like, you can't even inspire anybody. Just go there and say, oh, if Steve Jobs were in Nigeria, did Steve Jobs even build in America in 2025? Steve built in the 70s. Is it the same reality as what's happening in America today? You can't look at young people and say, no, your mates are building stuff in AI, they're building GPTs across the US. You can do the same thing. No. All you have to tell them is that they cannot do anything because they're in Nigeria, and you're supposed to be a person to be looked up to. That's nonsense. And it irks me because, you know, we meet a lot of young people, and people yearn for inspiration. They're not telling you, it's not even about money. Just say something that can make them feel that they can, not something that makes them feel that they cannot. Because, in other words, what you're giving them is not hope, is excuses. And you want to be a president of the country. How now? And to be worse, it would be terrible, really, if we have no examples. But we literally have examples of people who built, and I'm not even talking about businesses. There are people building businesses in Nigeria. There are shops opening, there are malls opening, there are parks opening in this same country. There are real estate organizations. I think of course things are tough, but I mean, if you choose the path of entrepreneurship, you would have to go through stress. In the United States as well, the odds are stacked against the entrepreneur. Do you have it easier in some countries? Of course. But are you telling me that you can't make anything happen in Nigeria because you're not in the US? You are not a leader. You're a rabble rouser at best, or maybe someone who just knows how to, you don't even know how to talk like that, which is crazy. And thank you, Logic Vector, for writing that in the comment section. Shell is coming back to Nigeria. Shell left Nigeria. Now they're coming back, and they've said they're going to invest $20 billion in this country. People say nothing grows. Dangote borrowed $20 billion open refinery. Do you know the worth of that refinery? It's not up to 5 years. It's now between $40 and $50 billion. He's having his public his IPO very soon. Initial public offering. And the valuation of the company is about $40 to $50 billion. So what should the young people do? Vote for you. Once they have you, you now give them loans. Say you went to a bank, they looked at him and said, because you have a degree, we'll give you a loan. Credit card, if it didn't, later on said they gave them credit card and loan. What he was referring to was credit card though. Maybe look at it when you start a business and say, you know what, I'm a graduate, give me a loan. They now give you the loan to go and start business. Now so easy. And the way they say this thing, I used to live in the UK, and so what? You can live in the UK and just be lying to everybody. I see that one Shaolori Guinea UK, one for everybody. You're a graduate, will give you, £50,000, so you can go and start something. Like if you want to lie, like do it small, like keep it in your, part of the country. Things are not perfect in Nigeria. I mean, and that's the truth. Nobody can even, try to paint any other picture. Things are not perfect, but things are working. Bad as bad. People are building. See, Oluwanje carry ti wa se o. At the Mariba ti Shamaro no gbegba. And Ibaraye for what you? I don't know how to I don't know how to pray like that in English language sincerely, because I just said God will bless you. God will help you. Torí kò sí nǹkan tó fẹ́ pé ní Nàìjíríà yìí, kò sí nǹkan téèyàn lè ṣe tó máa fi dà nǹkan ní Nàìjíríà yìí, ó pọ̀ bàjẹ́. There could be just maybe a path that you have not seen before, or you lived abroad. There's just something you can introduce into the country, or there's just something that the country needs, and you introduce it and you become something. That's how everybody has made it. Well, the people that made it on the right path. Of course, you need help. People need help. Whether it's bank, of course, our banks are not very good when it comes to loans, truth be told. But who says that's the only path? And before you say, oh, I don't have the money, the people who started it, they all have the money. And again, by the way, if you want to build, don't listen to Peter Obi. I beg in the name of God. If God has given you a dream or an idea in your life, please don't listen to a man like that. He just tells you how it will not work, and then you're supposed to make him your leader. So when you become something, do you know what's going to be telling you? He will have challenges. See, he can be the purest man on earth. If you become president of Nigeria, you'll be welcomed in challenge. You will have problem with another challenge bus stop in Ibadan. You have challenges as your reality. Tinubu, of course, is facing a lot of problems. It's normal when it comes to that kind of thing. I mean, president of any country, but Nigeria is quite complex. So here's the thing. If you have already told people that nothing works in this place, and you even have great intentions, let's assume that you're this good man who wants to bless all of us and make things better. Now you become the president, and then you're stared in the face with certain challenges. What do you do then? You begin to apportion blames and say, this is why it's not working. And you will make sense. That's the thing. You think people cannot tell us why things cannot work? You just make, Peter can do that, Sha. Just tell you all these things, like he said about LP, ADC, all those things. Just make it up for you. That, hey, yeah, my show. Meanwhile, people are having problems. Anyway, all of that to say that my prayer for you, everybody listening to me, is that God will open your eyes. You will see opportunities. You not only see problems, you will see solutions to the problems. And in providing those solutions and providing value, right, you will experience prosperity beyond your wildest dreams. I'm praying that, I'm using this moment to just ask that, you will find your path and that you will do well. And if you're facing any challenges in your work, you will find a way through that particular challenge. Maybe you're building something and then you're problem with finance or you're problem with whatever, that somehow you will see a path. You will see, there's a scripture that just comes to mind. I'm a Christian. There's a scripture in Isaiah. It says, you will hear a voice behind you telling you this is the way to go, walk ye in it. So I'm praying that you will hear a voice that will tell you what to do, where to go, who to meet. Because we have to build this country. Not this pessimistic, defeatist speeches. Those things don't build anything. That's why you begin to wonder, how do some people raise money to even start their businesses? Was it pure? Because if it was pure and you went through stress and you build stuff, you'll not be talking like a defeated person. Let's move away from that. We've covered a number of things. I think I have a few more things to cover. Let's just, I was going to play you something from, I'll bring everybody up soon, but I was waiting to bring people up a while back, and I noticed a lot of people were not trying to come up, so I decided to just stick to it. So I will do that very soon. All right. I'm just going to play something from Reno Mokri. By the way, he is the ambassador. I mean, how do they say it now? He's been posted to Mexico, but it hasn't yet reported. So, ambassador designate, that's a word. That's a phrase. He's the ambassador designate to Mexico, and he was a guest on Sheon Okinbaloye's Politics Today, and he had this to say about this great man, Peter Obi. Take a listen to this.
Well, is it that the man that you say you will never...
You know what? I think we should. I think we should do this tomorrow. If we start this now, it's going to affect the flow. So let's just stay with ATC. We'll come back to Reno tomorrow so that we can stay on topic, and then I can easily bring people up. Just this ADC thing, and then Dangote's plan in Ondo State. I'll make that very quick. Let me read this report very quickly. This is from Premium Times. Court orders deregistration of ADC accord 3 other parties. This was yesterday, June 15, 2026. The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to deregister the African Democratic Congress, ADC, and 4 other political parties over alleged failure to meet constitutional requirements for continued registration. The judge, Peter Lifu, made the order in a judgment on Monday. He noted that the affected parties breached Section 225 of the Nigerian Constitution. The section gives INEC the power to deregister political parties that failed to win any elective position or 25% of the votes in the previous round of elections at the federal, state, and local government levels. The judgment, if immediately enforced, is bound to lead to a deluge of disqualifications of candidates running for elective offices in the 2027 general elections and the upcoming off-cycle governorship elections slated for June and August this year in Ekiti and Osun State. Premium Times reported that the suit was filed by the National Forum of Former Legislators against INEC, the Attorney General of the Federation, and the affected opposition parties. Other parties listed in the suit and affected by the court's deregistration order are Accord, Action Alliance AA, Action People's Party APP, and Zenith Labour Party ZLP. The plaintiffs argued that the parties no longer met the constitutional threshold for continued existence as registered political parties. They relied on Section 225A of the Constitution and provisions They relied on Section 225A of the Constitution and provisions of the Electoral Act, insisting the parties failed to win elective seats or meet minimum requirements in elections. So they asked the court to hold that INEC has a constitutional duty to deregister political parties that failed to meet the legal conditions. Now, that was yesterday, and following that judgment by Justice Lifu Peter, ADC National Publicity Secretary Bolaji Abdullahi went on a media tour, I should say. That's the best way to put it. It was on Channel CV, it was also on Arise TV. And I'm just going to play you some clips from his interviews, and then I'll play you another clip where representatives of other political parties that were also deregistered, also spoke on what was happening and what their response would be to this particular court order or court judgment. Take a listen to Bolaji Abdullahi, this time on Channel's Politics Today with Shehu Okinbaloye.
27. So on what basis? You cannot place illegality on you can't place this on anything. So you are a lawyer, you should know that.
You think Justice Lifu's court is playing games with you because you are saying that
he's running in contempt of the court. Justice Lifu should be arrested because he's acting in contempt of the court, which is a criminal act. Because the Court of Appeal says don't act on this until I hear it on October 27. So on what basis did he deliver the judgment? So for us in the African Democratic Congress, what we are convinced that they know that what they have done has no leg to stand on.
All right. So that was Bolaji Abdullahi, the ADC National Publicity Secretary. He also said that they know the person behind the Federal High Court judgment that they registered the ADC. Take a listen.
Are you directing these at the judiciary? Who do you think? And you are inferring as though that some people who are behind this.
No, it's not a question of inference, Shehu. The person, the individual who is championing this works in the office of the Chief of Staff to the President.
Really?
Yeah, of course, everyone knows that.
Who is the person?
Oh, I can't remember his name. He's from Southeast. I can't remember his name. He was a former member of the House of Representatives.
So you found out that
his name is there. They are not hiding. Yeah. Right? That is one. Two, in that matter, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice was the second defendant. But a few days ago, he emerged as a plaintiff. What absurdity. in a case that you are a defendant, then suddenly you woke up, then the question that we're asking is, what is the injury that these individuals who call themselves former legislative forum, what injuries will they suffer if ADC and these other parties contest election in 2027? Apart from, of course, maybe the breakfast they are enjoying will come to an end. But the most important, who are you directing these?
All right. So apparently, he claims to know the person doing that, but that was Bolaji Abdullahi on channels. Here is Bolaji Abdullahi on prime time, Arise News prime time with Charles. Take a listen to this.
I assure you by tomorrow morning we're in court. Right. You see, ADC.
But what court will you be going to now then? To the
Court of appeal.
Court?
Yeah,
right.
Court of appeal. Yeah, exactly. You see, like I said, ADC is a party that's been birthed, as it were, in adversity. So we are used to this. We are not distracted. It's in spite of this that we have built a formidable political party. It's in spite of this that we have implemented one of the most ambitious internal democratic exercise. What we did with our primaries, no other political party had done it in the history of Nigeria. So, I mean, it may not be perfect, but we did it. So we are proud of that. So ADC will not be intimidated by this. ADC will not, we are ADC. We don't cow before dictatorship. We don't bow to this kind of shenanigans.
Yeah, but
because
you bow
the
to
only
the
reason,
courts,
no,
you have to obey the decision of the
illegal,
court.
we are a law-abiding party. And we believe, we still have faith in the institution of judiciary, regardless of what individual judges are doing at the lower level or at whatever level. And that's why we are saying justice be done. But in this case, it is not about justice. What Justice Lifu did today is not about justice. It's politics. So what the ruling party, the government is doing, because if you remember, I don't know if you are aware, the individual championing the case works in the government. Then the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice, who is a defendant in this case, suddenly woke up a few days ago and became a plaintiff in the same case. What absurdity. Can you imagine any other country where this could have happened?
All right, that was Bolaji Abdullahi again. He's a spokesperson, publicity secretary, national publicity secretary for the African Democratic Congress, ADC. But like I said earlier, it's not only ADC that is affected by this court order. There are other parties like Accord, like ZLP, Action Alliance, and one other party. And sorry, I have to find that party because it's important that we mention, so it doesn't look as if you know how these things can sound sometimes. So I can start with so there's ADC, there's Accord, yes, I mentioned Accord, Action Alliance, ZLP, Zenith Labour Party, and APP, Action People's Party. All right, they are going to be, according to that court judgment, they're going to be registered. Bolaji Abdullahi said they're actually going to the appeal court. I mean, I wish them all the best. However, like I said, it's not just one party. So the other representatives of the other parties were on Arise News as well, and this is what they had to say in a conversation on Arise News. Take a listen, please.
In my
is that how you pronounce a
I'm telling you, because
judicial
when the judge this is a very useless judgment, very useless judgment. In my
is that how you pronounce a
I'm telling you, because
judicial
when the judge decides to be useless, when a judge decides to ridicule the judiciary, what do you expect? This is a very senior member of the bench. I mean, Honorable Justice Peter Lifu. Even a university student, a law university student, will tell you that once a court of appeal gives any judgment or ruling, that the lower court is bound by that ruling. I mean, ordinary law students in the university, let alone a senior judge the Court of Appeal gave a ruling staying proceedings at the Federal High Court. And it's not as if that the ruling was not brought to the attention of my Lord, the Honorable Justice Peter Lifu. It was brought to his attention.
As a lawyer, let me ask you again, but why was it really necessary to approach, the appeal court for an order of stay of proceeding?
Thank you for this question. Let me now let Nigerians know how the genesis of this matter.
I've got to be brief.
Yes, very, very brief. The plaintiff in this matter filed this action in December last year in the name of listen very well, in the name of National Forum of Former Legislators, which is a non-juristic personality. When they now realized that the name used in suing the defendant was not a juristic person, on their own volition, without the order of court, amended the process and then changed the juristic personality of the plaintiff and then added the incorporated trustees without the order of court. By the initial process filed in December, ZN Labour Party was not even a party. Accord Party was not even a party. On their own volition, without the order of the court, added this other defendant in the matter. When it was not challenged, Justice Lifu resurrected a dead matter and granted the application for amendment. It was that order that the plaintiff should now amend their process that triggered the appeal. When the appeal was pending, appeal entered. We came back to Justice Lifu for stay of proceedings in his court. He dismissed all applications, but as the Court of Appeal found in our favor, ordered Justice Lifu to stay further proceedings in the matter. And the order was served on him. The order was before him. He acknowledged service of the order on the court. He went ahead disregarding the order of the court. That is, Nigerians, what can anybody do to me? I'm Justice Lifu.
All right, that was Kalu Kalu. He's a member of the ADC legal team, and he was also joined by the leader of Zenith Labour Party. And I wish them all the best as they go on, to the appeal court. I'll read some of the comments here before we have the last news report, and I'll bring people up. So on YouTube, we have, on Facebook as well, we have some interesting comments. You might say you need a kind of patience called long suffering to be able to listen to that was talking about B. It's very inconsistent, incoherent, manipulative, and with no basic skills to interpret simple data. All right, and the other things here, some of them are a bit like low blows, bomby, but let me just find one that's a bit soft. Oh boy, people are throwing darts, man. Your mind says you don't need to be a graduate to apply for a credit card facility in the Western society. Once you're able to prove that you have a legal residence in that locality, you are entitled to get one. Absolutely. Nigeria doesn't have credit card facilities to everyone yet, but except few Nigerian elites and those who know how to work around it. That's true as well. Then it says it will be not a success story of one of the individuals who built multi-million-dollar investment in Nigeria. I don't know if it's multi-million-dollar, but I know that will be a billionaire there, and that's a lot. Is successful, right? And you'd expect that someone like that will inspire others to success rather than tell them why things cannot work in the country. Yeah. So that's about last one. If you have a verifiable job and address system in Nigeria, you'll get a loan any day, anytime, except that interest rate is very discouraging. That's from Your Might on YouTube, and I agree with that as well. So let's jump straight because of time, and then just jump straight to the final news report, which is about Dangote. If you look at the screen, you see the last point there is Dangote's Ondo move. If you recall, Dangote actually wanted to build this refinery in Ondo State originally, and then it was essentially, should I say, frustrated, and decided to move the refinery to Lagos, and it is what it is today. But there's a new development. I'd like to read this to you from the cable, then you get to listen to some of the things from that Dangote himself had to say later. Aliko Dangote to establish biggest free trade zone in Ondo. Aliko Dangote, president of Dangote Group, has revealed plans to develop a large-scale industrial and free trade zone in Olokola, Ondo State, to attract manufacturers and reduce infrastructure constraints for investors. Dangote announced the plan on Monday during a courtesy visit to Loke Aiyedatiwa, governor of Ondo in Akure. He said the proposed Olokola project will go beyond the conventional free trade zone, noting that it will be fully equipped with power, water, and logistics infrastructure to enable investors to operate without delays associated with basic utilities. Quote, "We want to create the biggest free trade zone where investors can just come and plug in. We will generate power, provide infrastructure, and remove the bottlenecks around doing business," he added. Dangote said the initiative is designed to address Nigeria's long-standing power deficit, which he described as the country's biggest industrial constraint for over 30 years. According to the billionaire, the absence of reliable power had slowed industrial expansion across the country. He added that the new model would integrate dedicated energy supply into the industrial zone. The businessman also disclosed plans to integrate gas infrastructure through an east-west gas corridor to support energy-intensive industries within the zone. Dangote said the group had previously attempted to develop investment in Olokola, but was constrained by operational challenges at the time, leading to the concentration of projects in Lagos. Contractors are expected to mobilize to sites within 3 to 4 months, with full construction scheduled to commence in the last quarter of the year. This is brilliant news, and I'm very happy about that. Beautiful. I mean, we know about the investment in Lagos, the Lekki Free Trade Zone with Dangote Refinery. We also know that there are plans to build the seaport in Ogun State, and now is building a free trade zone in Ondo State. All these things are very good for the Southwest. But again, I read that stuff, but I think it would be nice for you to listen to the report. I'll play Ondo State. I'll play African Independent Television AIT report, and then I'll play OSRC, which is quite interesting because I've not heard them speak in a long time. Let me play OSRC first. After all, it's their state. Let's start with them, and then we'll go to AIT later. Take a listen to this clip. By the way, OSRC is Ondo State Radiovisual, Ondo State Radiovisual and Television Clinical Commission. Like it's Radio Vision or something. It's the TV station in Ondo State. So,
Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote has reaffirmed plans to develop a large-scale industrial and free trade zone at Olokola in Ondo State, describing the project as a power-driven investment hub aimed at attracting manufacturers and removing infrastructure constraints. Dangote made the announcement during a courtesy visit to Governor Loke Aiyedatiwa in Akure, where he outlined a renewed investment framework covering power generation, cement production, gas infrastructure, and industrial manufacturing. He said the local development will be equipped with power, water, and logistics so investors can plug in without delays from basic utility shortfalls. Governor Aiyedatiwa welcomed the investment drive, calling it a major milestone in the state's industrial agenda. He said the project aligns with efforts to position Ondo as a leading industrial destination in the southwest, noting the state's strategic location along the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway corridor.
We are going to go back to Olokola Free Trade Zone. We want to create the biggest industrial zone with provision of power and other infrastructure, where investors can easily just come and put up their own investment, and also looking at the possibilities of doing cement in Ondo State. We are going to move and we're going to do that. And as I've mentioned earlier on, once we put up this in the industrial zone, we are talking about within the last quarter of this year, we will move to site and start construction. There will be a lot of jobs, and I'm sure people of this state will be very, very happy, not only here, and also the neighboring state. The last time when we did this mega project that we're supposed to have done here in Lagos, the refinery alone, we had over 67,000 workers. So, and you can see what kind of development that will, bring. People, the local people will also set up housing and co, because as part of our policy, we didn't build housing estates. So we allow the locals to build houses, and then when they build houses, anytime when we pay salaries, they too, they get a pay. And that's the kind of model that we have. I think now we have, a great leader who is business-minded person, and I think he knows the importance of bringing in private sector to develop the state, and that's one of the main reasons why we came here.
Now he's back with bigger strength, with vision. The original vision is still there, but it has been enlarged now. Just like we've heard from him, that it's not just going to be a free trade zone, but it's going to be a zone that's going to be industrialized, fully industrialized. He has experience already. He has developed one in Lagos, the Dangote free trade zone area in Lagos. In fact, he cannot even allocate land to other investors because he's utilizing everything. So he has to expand further down to this area. Don't forget that we in Ondo State, we are strategically located, particularly with the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway that is running through this corridor. I will give thanks to the President, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for that great vision of building that road, which will open up the entire area.
Engineer Felton, the special advisor to Mr. Governor on special duties. Ladies and gentlemen, what we have witnessed today is more than a courtesy visit. The presence here is already stated.
So that was a clip of the meeting they had. By the way, the other voice you heard was the governor's voice, Governor Aiyedatiwa, also talking about what happened. Talking about the plans that Dangote has for Ondo State. And this is actually quite good, very beautiful news, right? Of course, you have the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road running through that corridor, like the governor said. So apparently, there's a lot of development that we're looking forward to in that particular place. I remember a couple of years ago, I visited Yewa, and just one plant. Dangote has a cement plant in Ibeshe. A lot of people, I like the plan he has where they don't build housing estates for their staff members. So you have a lot of people working in the plant, then moving into town, and then there's development in the town. There's a lot of things going on just because of the presence of one factory. So imagine what's going to look like to have an industrial space in the local. So this is beautiful news, and I'm very happy, and I hope you are as well. I'm just going to read some comments, and then I'll bring people up very quickly. So someone says Governor Mimoko frustrated. Okay, I don't want to read what Governor Mimoko did not do. I just thank God for what's happening right now. So Koko says, for perspective, Dangote refinery, deep seaport, freight zone are all located within 100 kilometers. I don't know. Maybe that's about Lagos. This is actually about Ondo State. Your might on YouTube says Ondo State has been relegated for far too long, and I hope that this project could spark a rapid growth and development of the state and Southwest. It is time that we, the indigenes, need to return home. Yes, please come home. God bless you, Ondo State Governor, Mr. Dangote, Ondo State, Yoruba Land, and Nigeria. Thank you very much for writing that. Ondo State Radio Vision and Corporation. Oh, okay, that's what it is. OSRC. Are you from Ondo State? I used to watch the channel, I used to visit there as well. I mean, nice city, Akure, and lovely state overall. Yeah, so that's the good news from Dangote. Now I'm going to bring people up. Please, as soon as you get up, please mute, and then you get to, share your thoughts with us. But please don't be long-winded. Just keep it brief. Thank you very much. I have Bumblebee, my Battlefield, JK, and Car Trevor. As soon as you get up, please mute. That would really help. So please, thank you. If you sent a request, please mute. All right, so let's have Bumblebee. Good evening, Bumblebee.
Good evening, Prof.
Good evening, sir. Yes, sir.
So just make a submission on the Olokola investment. I think, if you ask me, I think Lagos State kind of dropped the ball with Dangote refinery. I mean, it's a low-hanging fruit that Lagos State maybe 10% stakeholder or 15% stakeholder. If they are done the negotiation from the get, I think Ondo State shouldn't drop the ball on this one. I mean, that's a low-hanging fruit. Instead of taxing the citizenry to death, might as well just get a very, very good revenue stream from partnering with Dangote if it's bringing something that big to the state. Now, let me go and talk about this Ogapio. Can't even complete his sentences. It's quite unfortunate that that's the quality and caliber of people we have running for political positions. So let me not dwell on that. VDM, for me, that guy, I just think when people give attention to him, they give him more legitimacy. I never liked him, and I never will. So I'm not even going to bother speaking about his own. So thank you very much. Kudos to Dangote, kudos to Ondo State. Many more good things to Southwest. Eshego.
Thank you very much for your submission. I really appreciate you, sir. Let's go on to my Battlefield. Good evening, sir.
Thank you so much for another session today.
Yes, sir.
I'm so glad that you are able to play that kind of videos for you to debunk them. I don't know, and you have graduates there clapping for Obi, and you see people calling Obi an economist. Obi is not an economist. Probably he did 1 or 2 weeks course. Sandwich courses, and he went about lying to people. And I was somewhere debating someone, and I was correcting him that Obi is not an economist, and he was arguing with me. I said, "Wow." You see, it's quite amazing. He said he went to Harvard. Had to do which course? Market to market? 3 weeks course? And now he lied that if you are in Britain because of his resume, they are able to give him loan without collateral. Who will do that? Even if you have 3 PhDs, I have a friend with 4 PhDs, 4, a white person. They asked him for things before they could open account for him. He had 4 PhD and he lectured in Cambridge. He's a Cambridge lecturer. He have 4 PhDs. It's so ridiculous. This will be what he says all the time. At least a white person I'm talking about, a colleague of mine. I mean, it's so silly. I think Nigeria needs to start integrating themselves, the kind of people they invite, the type of mindset they want to build. I'll tell you, but sometime last year when this Japa syndrome started, I said they are actually discouraging Nigerians from doing things the right way. They say, and I saw some pastors too saying, "Oh, they have option B, option 3, option C." It's wrong. They are the one forcing these people or enticing people to go and cross the channels, into unfavorable territories for them to seek greener pastures, which is just nothing. People need to start thinking. They need to start imbibing positive cultures, not negativity, not all those fatalistic, totalistic attitude. Nigeria is a blessed place. It's very beautiful. What we lack now is integrity, and I think we need to start building up our integrity quotient. It's very poor, and that's why we have people abroad who want to invest in Nigeria. They cannot invest in Nigeria. And Obi, who is a discalua, he hasn't got any skills for mathematics, and he will keep quoting figures. The first time he paired up with Atiku to be presidential candidate. He was throwing out figures, making throwaway comments everywhere. This guy needs to be cautioned. I just hope those universities, they will not see this video and they will now go out all out to discredit him. He should stop it. You don't have to talk. Before you talk, at least reason. You don't have to talk. They don't have to force you to talk. And I can tell you for free, this is the worst presidential candidate in the history of Nigeria, apart from Sowore. Obi is the worst president candidate in the history of Nigeria, apart from Sowore, from my own knowledge. And I think we should attract people with more credentials, people who have more gusto, people who have more caliber and timber, not people like Obi. Obi has nothing to offer. That's why if you ask anybody, why did you vote for Obi? And I put it on my page, Facebook page, since 2022, that whoever could challenge me, I will pay that person $1,000. And I'm throwing it out to people now. I will pay you $1,000 if you can convince me what Obi has that none of the other candidates have. If you can convince me, I will pay you $1,000. It's a challenge. It's so sad. And thank God for you that you are available for you to be treating our people and teaching them something new, not just the regurgitated facts, not facts, just rubbish. It's quite saddening. We see that type of level of people following Obi, the same level of people following VDM. It's so sad, but what can we do? When we haven't got people who are able to fact check them, they will run away on the mills with rubbish. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate your submission. And we'll be rounding up now. But before we go, by the way, I just want to play. I want to give you like, is it 1 for the road or 2 for the road? 2 for the road, or 1 for the road, whichever one however you want to put it. So back to very quickly, back to Peter Obi's interview with Rufai Oseni. I'll play you the calm one, then I'll play you the ridiculous one last. So let's have the calm one first. You just listen and then you be blessed, if possible. Take a listen, please.
A lot of people have said you are always chickening out of problems. That's why you left the ADC. That you are not ready to be able to face a candidate like Atiku in a party primary. That after coming together with them, you chickened out and you walked away. And the same thing too, you couldn't harmonize Labour Party. What's your reaction to all of that?
They are very right. When people put fire in your house, you don't stay.
Who put fire in your house?
No, I don't know. You know what the government of today is doing.
Do I know you?
That's supposed to be a presidential candidate too. All right, that one is kidding. Now let me play you the really ridiculous one. This one's where he talked about. He was asked questions about his position on IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu. Very quickly, take a listen to this.
Question.
Yes.
Is there anything objectively that we can say in a matter of approach or procedure Nnamdi Kanu did wrong?
No, it's not me. It's not for me. What I'm saying is that in negotiation, in trying to
can we point out in a, and that's why I say objectively speaking, what Nnamdi Kanu did wrong?
No,
if
listen,
you admit that he has done something wrong,
listen,
what did he do wrong?
Listen, let me tell you. I've listened to his statements at times, where he said maybe harm somebody, kill somebody, do this and everything, right? I won't say it. I don't say things like that.
He was wrong, and that's
why. He has even said it against me. But I'm saying in building unity, that's why I said I will negotiate not just Nnamdi Kanu, Sunday Igboho, all of them. They all use foul languages. But in building unity, Mandela used foul languages and everything. In building unity, it's time for us to overlook this and say, hey, come, we can't build unity like this. You know, because of what he was doing, Southeast was, cut off from Mondays.
Apart from that, the sit at home, the arms, and all that things.
No. I didn't know about arms. I'm talking about, I would just say this, Monday, sit at home, all those things. So, but we are not talking about past. I said, I will build unity. And in building unity, you include everybody.
Peter Obi does not know about arms. He has never heard of ESN. And did you notice what he did? I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. Did you notice what he did? In order to talk about Nnamdi Kanu, did you hear the name he had to insert? Sunday Igboho. He has to find a way. You know the crazy, I say it every time. The person that's disturbing you on social media and the oldest person or even a PhD holder in Igbo land, they think exactly the same way. There are exceptions, but the rule is they are the same. There are exceptions, and I know the exceptions, but do you always have that comparison? False equivalence? They have, that's how they make, it's a cultural thing. Kilo Kosonde going on. And what they said that somebody is saying something, saying usually foul language, foul as if he's talking about chicken. Which one is foul language? They're talking about arms and ammunition. Say I didn't know about arms. You didn't know he armed people. You didn't know about ESN. And you're supposed to be the leader, but we should forget the past. But I don't want to forget. May God help those who have followed this person. But again, we'll try to keep saying this, particularly for Yoruba people who think there's something grand about him. I don't know what they see. And I've talked to them, and I discovered that they haven't really seen anything. They just heard stuff from people and decided to join the mob. And I hope these things will help you understand that there's really nothing grand in that movement. But we're glad, that he's unraveling, and you don't even have to help him to do it. He's doing it all by himself. Thank you for being part of today's session. I want to read something from Yoma. She says, I'm from Owo district. Oh, you're from Owo. Guys, I want to move away from Peter being very quickly so we can end on a good note, because that man is depressing. Yoma says, I'm from Owo, a district in the old western region and where AG was launched in 51. See, this man has flex. Action Group was launched in your city in 1951. That's eternal flex. Well done. All right. It's been lovely having this session today. If you join us for the first time, we do have the sessions every weekday, Mondays to Fridays at 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. Today we talked about, news making the rounds, and I hope you had a great time being part of today's conversation. And just to round up, we talked about Makinde's house being, visited by VDM, and how they went to protest in Oyo State, of course, because of the children who have been, the students, the school pupils, and the teachers who have been in in captivity for about a month now. Very terrible stuff. But we also heard the reassuring words of the governor. We're looking forward to the release of those children and the teachers who are with them. We also talked about the new VP that Atiku has picked, and that's Amechi, right? And of course, we talked about the reaction of certain people, e.g., Kenneth Okonkwo and others, who feel that there should have been an Igbo VP in AGC. The grounds for that is actually something you can't really, it's hard to even enunciate, because it has nothing, I think just wishes, if wishes were horses, some people were right. All right. We also talked about the crisis in ADC with the court ordering Justice Peter Lifu ordering that certain parties be deregistered in Nigeria, and the parties include ADC, ZLP, AA, Action Alliance, Accord Party, about 5 of them. The judgment was delivered yesterday, but I think the parties are going to the appeal court. and they rounded up everything. Okay, we also talk about Peter Obi and the interesting things he had to say, and just to understand how the mind works, and to tell you that this mind cannot lead Nigeria. And the fact that he led Anambra State is actually something to be questioned. Maybe tomorrow I'll play some clips from some people who had a debate to discuss Peter Obi and his chances of being president, and then talked about some of the interesting things that he did. I mean, of course, he achieved some things. I mean, you can't be there for 8 years and do nothing. But when it comes to when you put it on scale, there's nothing to write home about. They rounded up with Dangote's Ondo move, with the return of Alhaji Aliko Dangote to Olokola free trade zone, and the plans that they have for that particular part of Ondo State, and they are going to be constructing later this year. This is good news for Ondo people. It's good news for Yoruba people. It's good news for Ondo, for Olokola, for Ondo State, for the Southwest, for Yoruba people, and of course for Nigeria. And we look forward to beautiful news from different parts of Yoruba land and other parts of Nigeria as well. Thank you very much for being part of today's session. We'll be here tomorrow at 4 p.m. And I think we should be able to have, a full session. But regardless, we'll have a great time together, whether it's full or just the news, because the news itself is like a topic on its own these days. But yeah, I hope you had a great time. Thank you very much for being part of today's session. We're going to listen to our anthems today before we go, and then we'll call it a day. Here's the Nigerian anthem. I'll play the Nigerian anthem and also the Yoruba anthem. All right? Here's the Nigerian anthem. Let's sing along. If you know the lyrics, if not, please learn the lyrics.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign mother.
wa ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀ ìmọ́lẹ̀ wo ni wọ́kùn lágbára Ọlọ́run láyébó ní bàjẹ́ o Nàìjíríà náà ní dàrú ilé wa náà wọ̀ ní bàjẹ́ kó tá bá dáwọ́ lé àmàyọrí sí ìrìn lágbára Ọlọ́run. And I want to thank you very much for being part of today's session. May God bless you. May God keep you and cause His face to shine upon you. May you do well in all you lay your hands upon. And may Nigeria be better in our lifetime. And we'll be part of the solutions that we crave. Thank you very much for being part of today's session. Madam Omolara Ogundari on YouTube, thank you very much for being here. Eshion Pupo. Thanks everyone for being part of today's session. I'll see you again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. Do have a lovely evening. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you. Odaro, Eshion.